All right, Sergeant, can you swear in Mr. Williams?
Raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony you give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's your name, first and last. You might can't spell first and last. Jeffrey Williams.
Jeffrey Williams, Jeffery Williams.
Good afternoon, Mr. Williams.
Good afternoon.
Are you the same Jeffrey Williams indicted in case number? Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
actually, have we all signed the indictment, or are we going to do that afterwards? Because I don't have a copy of it.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't believe that we
We
have.
have not signed the indictment.
Okay, probably be a good idea to do that.
Does anyone have a copy? Because you don't? Okay.
Where's the one we were using yesterday? We'll do that in just a minute. You can go ahead with the colloquy.
And Your Honor, we don't have the waiver form as well. I believe that the court had one.
That right here.
I've got blanks. Y'all filled one out, right?
We have.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, are you the same Jeffrey Williams indicted in case number 22SC183572?
Yes.
Okay. And are you also known as Young Thug?
Yes.
Are you at this time taking or under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or medication?
No.
Is there any medication that you normally take that you have not been given today?
No.
How old are you?
33.
And how far have you gone in school?
9.
Say that one more time.
9.
Okay. Are you able to read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes.
All right. Do you understand that you are charged with the following offenses? Conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, participation in criminal street gang activity, the leadership charge, participation in criminal street gang activity, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act, 3 counts, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and possession of a machine gun. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. And do you understand that you have the right to plead either guilty or not guilty to these charges, and that if you plead not guilty or remain silent, you will continue to receive a jury trial?
Yes.
All right. And have you received this waiver of rights form that I hold in my hand from your attorney and reviewed it with your attorney?
Yes.
All right. And is this your signature on the bottom of this form?
Yes.
Have you had enough time to speak with your attorneys, Mr. Steele and Mr. Adams, about all of the facts and circumstances known to you regarding the charges in indictment 22SC183572, including any potential defenses?
Yes.
Do you need additional time to discuss this case with your attorneys?
No.
Are you satisfied with their services?
Yes.
Mr. Steele and Mr. Adams, do you on behalf of Mr. Williams waive a formal reading of this indictment?
Yes, Your Honor. We do.
And do you, Mr. Williams, waive any and all defects in this indictment, including any with respect to your name?
Yes.
Have you been arrested on these charges?
Yes.
The state is unaware of any outstanding warrants related to these charges. Do you or your attorneys know of any outstanding warrants related to these charges?
Any what?
Outstanding warrants related to any of the charges in the indictment?
No,
No.
I don't believe so either, Your Honor.
Okay. And I'm unaware of any as well, Your Honor.
I am as well.
Thank you. Have your attorneys advised you of the minimum and maximum sentence for each of the crimes that you are charged with?
Yes.
And each of the charges that you are pleading guilty to?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, with respect to the charges that Mr. Williams faces, count 1 carries a minimum charge of 5 years and a maximum charge of 20 years in prison or up to a $25,000 fine or both.
Isn't it a $15,000 fine because wasn't it the version of the statute in effect at the time, or was that the same for RICO? Was RICO 25?
Yes,
Back-
RICO was
okay.
25.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Count 56 carries a minimum sentence of 5 years in prison, a maximum of 20 years in prison, consecutive to any other sentence, with a fine of $10,000 to $15,000 or both.
Okay.
Count 57 carries a minimum sentence of 5 years in prison and a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. Count 58 carries a minimum sentence of 1 and a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. Count 59 carries a sentence range of 5 to 30 years in prison. Count 60 carries a sentence.
Hang on, slow down just a second. All right, and that's for the amount of that drug that was found on 59, 5 to 30?
That's as a result of the charge itself, I believe, with intent to distribute.
I think that 59, Your Honor, is
Uh-huh.
simple possession of cocaine. I have to look at the indictment to be
I
sure.
think that's 60.
Okay.
Let me look.
Okay.
And Your Honor,
59 is codeine and
Yes,
60 is cocaine.
yes.
So,
Your Honor, it is with the intent to distribute. So my reading of the statute is that it carries the range of 5 to 30.
okay.
And Your Honor, also, as I have the indictment in my hand from Ms. Roster, may I pass it to counsel for Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What y'all think? What y'all think? It sounds like he taking a plea.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'll permit time for
ahead.
them to, okay. Count 60 carries a range of 1 to 5 years in prison. Count 61 carries a mandatory 5 years consecutive
I'm on live.
to the
Judge is
underlying
taking a plea
felony.
right now.
Count 62 carries a sentence of 10 years consecutive for a total maximum exposure of 120 years in prison.
All right.
Were you aware of that, Mr. Williams?
Yes.
120 years for what?
Do you understand that neither the court nor the district attorney's office has anything to do with parole or the Department of Corrections or the Board of Pardons and Paroles, and that if you are sentenced to confinement in the Georgia Department of Corrections, no one can guarantee parole?
You can say yes.
Well,
She asked you, do you want to say that?
Oh,
you can
yes,
guarantee
ma'am.
Parole.
Your Honor, may I allow Mr. Williams time to finish signing the indictment?
Okay.
Your Honor, with permission, may I approach with a member of Mr. Williams' team?
You may.
Thank you.
Brian still looks nervous. He looks uneasy. Because at the end of the day, no matter how good your attorney is, no matter what they advise you on, it's up to the person to take the deal or not take the deal. So it's, even if Brian still said, do not take the deal, do not plead out. If they offered him an offer and he said, listen, I'm up against 120 years, and Young Thug said, you know what, I'm going to just take it, then he got to do what Young Thug say. They got to do what Young Thug say. But y'all know y'all can always support the channel. If y'all like the commentary over here, make sure you hit the like button. Most of you guys who are watching this video are not subscribed. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. And if y'all want to bless your girl for holding it down on this stream, definitely bless the Cash App as well.
Mr. Williams, do you understand that this is a non-negotiated plea of guilty, and that since your guilty plea is a blind plea or a non-negotiated plea, the state is making a recommendation of sentencing to the court, notwithstanding the fact that this is a blind plea? You understand that, Mr. Williams? Okay. And Mr. Williams, were you aware of the state's previous offer that was turned down prior to your making this non-negotiated plea?
Yes.
All right. And Your Honor, at this time, the state is making a recommendation of 45 years with 25 to serve in custody, followed by 20 on probation, subject to the special requirements
he
of
take this?
1615 for the gang statute.
Why would he take a blind plea and leave it up to the judge? No.
All right, and do you want to break down for me what your recommended sentence on each count is?
Yes, Your Honor. The state is recommending on count 1,
Why
5
wouldn't
years
you
to
keep
serve.
going?
Count 56, 20 years to serve consecutively to count 1.
No, I know that's not the deal. I'm
Count
saying, why would he take
57,
this
5
step
years
to
of
the...
probation to serve consecutively to...
Hold on, I'm gonna pause them real quick. I know that what she just recommended is not the deal. But what I'm saying is, why would he gamble? Why would he gamble? Because the judge is going to side closer to the prosecution. No, you shut up. You go watch the other trial. I mean, you go watch somebody else stream. I wouldn't have took this gamble. I would have kept going.
Count 56. Count 58, 10 years of probation to serve concurrently with count 57. Count 59, 5 years of probation to serve concurrently with count 57 and 58. Count 60, 5 years of probation concurrent with count 57, 58, and 59. Count 61, 5 years of probation consecutive to count 57. And count 62, 10 years of probation consecutive to count 61.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Williams, did you discuss the state's previous offer with your attorneys?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, and so we're all clear that we're talking about the same thing. Can you put what the state's previous offer was on the record for me, please?
I can, Your Honor.
Thank you.
The state's previous offer was a total of 43 years with 20 years, 5 years to serve on count 56 commuted to time served, followed by 15 years on probation. On count 58, the sentence was 10 years to serve in the Georgia Department of Corrections, consecutive to count 56. Count 59 was 3 years to serve in the Georgia Department of Corrections, consecutive to counts 56 and 58. Count 60 was 5 years to serve in the Georgia Department of Corrections, consecutive to counts 56, 58, and 59. Count 61 was 5 years to serve in the Georgia Department of Corrections, consecutive to counts 56, 58, 59, and 60.
Was that the entirety of
No.
what the sentence was?
No, Your Honor,
I
I'm
mean, I know
still
there were
reading.
special conditions, so y'all were
There
going
are.
to null pros,
We,
what, 1
yeah.
and 62?
Yes, as part
Okay.
of the recommended sentence, in exchange for the defendant agreeing to the special conditions that we asked the court to impose, the state was willing to null pros count 1, count 57, and count 62.
Okay, and then all of that consecutive to the probation, that was going to be what we call backloaded, and what were y'all proposing with regard to that, since it was
The
going to
total-
follow the probated sentence?
The total sentence was 43 years to serve, with the first 5 years in prison commuted to time served, followed by 15 years on probation, followed by 23 years in prison, which would have been served in confinement, except that if defendant had complied with the special conditions of probation imposed as part of this sentence, the backloaded portion of defendant's sentence would have been commuted. However, should defendant had violated any special condition of probation within the first 15 years of his sentence, his probated sentence would have immediately been revoked, and he would have been required to serve the entire remainder of his sentence confined to the Georgia Department of Corrections.
All right, so as long as he had successfully completed his 15 years of probation, the 23 years that was going to follow it was going to be commuted to time served, as long as his probation was successful. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And the special, would the court like for us to?
No, I was really more interested in the length of sentence and what y'all had. I know you didn't reach agreement, but y'all, that's what the last offer had been, with, of course, a bunch of special conditions, which I guess is where the hangup is. I don't know.
Right, defendant did not want to agree to the
Okay.
special conditions.
All right. Is that basically your understanding too, Mr.
Yes, Your Honor.
Steele
It
and
would
Mr.
have been,
Adams?
yes, Your Honor, Mr. Williams would have been released today for 15 years on probation. If he successfully completes that probation, then he would not have to go to custody. If he did not, he'd face probation revocation, as well as 23 years, as a court said, backloaded in the Georgia prison system. But we
Okay.
could not come to terms on all the conditions that the district attorney was insisting upon.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Love.
Okay. And Mr. Williams, were you aware of that previous offer, as well as all of the requirements that that offer would have entailed?
Yes.
And had you had enough time to discuss that particular offer with your attorneys?
Yes.
All right,
The preview?
the previous offer.
Yes.
Do you understand that the court can impose any sentence authorized by law, including a higher sentence than that recommended by the state, up to the maximum sentence on each charge in this indictment? Do you understand that, Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you enter into a non-negotiated plea, you do not have a right to withdraw your plea once the sentence has been announced?
Yes.
Do you understand that this is a guilty plea which is permanently recorded on your criminal history?
Yes.
Do you understand that this plea may be used to enhance sentencing on other convictions in this jurisdiction, as well as in other jurisdictions, including in the federal courts?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you are currently on probation or parole, your probation or parole may be revoked based on your entering a guilty plea today?
I'm not on probation.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you're not on
if you
probation.
were on probation,
yes, yes.
but if you're not, then it doesn't matter.
Okay. Do you understand that if you are placed on probation of any kind by this court, you cannot violate any criminal laws of any governmental unit or any special conditions of probations without being subject to revocation for the balance of the sentence the court imposes?
Yes, I know.
Do you understand that you are not allowed to possess or use a firearm while on probation?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a guilty plea conviction will affect your immigration status and will result in deportation, just like a conviction at a trial would, and that this is true regardless of any advice by your attorney or anyone else?
Yes.
Do you understand that neither the court, your attorney, nor the district attorney's office has anything to do with parole, and the Department of Corrections or Board of Pardons and Paroles, and that no one can guarantee parole no matter what anyone has told you?
Yes.
Do you understand that there may be other adverse or unfavorable consequences as a result of this guilty plea conviction, just as there would be from a conviction following a trial? For example, your guilty plea may affect the right to vote, the right to hold public office, the right to serve on a jury, the right to obtain a passport, the right to receive, possess, or transport a firearm, or the ability to obtain employment. Do you understand that, Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty to a felony, if you use, receive, possess, or transport a firearm, or if you use a firearm in a crime, you will be guilty of a felony, which may carry a sentence of up to 1 to 15 years in prison?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand that you waive any and all defenses, including any mental health defenses, by entering a plea of guilty?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you went to trial, you would have the right to, that if you continued at trial, rather, you would continue to have the right to a trial by jury, the right to see, hear, and confront witnesses called to testify against you, and the right to testify or to remain silent and not incriminate yourself? Do you understand all of those things?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you are giving up the following rights? The right to a trial by jury. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself.
Yes.
The right to confront witnesses against you.
Yes.
The right to continued assistance of counsel hired by you or to court-appointed counsel if you cannot afford an attorney at the continued trial of your case.
Yes.
The right to the presumption of innocence.
Yes.
The right to testify on your own behalf and to present other evidence.
Yes.
The right to subpoena witnesses and compel the production of evidence.
Yes.
The right to have the charges against you proven beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes.
The right to appeal if convicted of these charges after a trial. Do you
Yes.
understand?
Yes.
Has anyone forced, threatened, or promised you anything to get you to enter a guilty plea?
No.
Is it your decision to waive these rights and enter a guilty plea because you are in fact guilty?
Yes.
Well, Your Honor, may I interject?
You may.
Your Honor, on count 1, which is the racketeering conspiracy count, Mr. Williams is tendering a plea under nolo contendere. As to count 56, which is participation in a criminal street gang activity as being a leader or a supervisor or organizer, Mr. Williams is also tendering a plea to this honorable court as under nolo contendere. The balance of the count, so he is tendering a guilty plea.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
would the court like to hear from the state or not?
About the NOLO issues?
Yes.
Sure.
Your Honor, the state asked that the court not accept a nolo plea and require either a guilty plea or a not guilty plea as to these charges.
All right. I'm going to permit a nolo plea as to counts 1 and 56.
All right. Mr. Williams,
What's a NOLO plea? On the, what?
As to count 57, participation in criminal street gang activity, how do you plead?
I plead guilty.
As to count 58, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act, how do you plead?
Guilty.
As to count 59, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act, how do you plead?
Guilty.
As to count 60, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act, how do you plead?
Guilty.
As to count 61, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And as to count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, how do you plead?
No law.
As to count 56, participation in criminal street gang activity under the leadership charge, how do you plead?
No law.
I think you didn't ask about count 62.
As to count, thank you, Your Honor. As to count 62, possession of a machine gun, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty to the offenses you have indicated because you are in fact guilty of these charges?
Yes.
All right. Are your guilty pleas and your NOLO pleas freely and voluntarily given with the full knowledge of the charges against you?
Yes.
Do you understand that you may have only a limited right to appeal this guilty plea conviction?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have only 4 years from today's date for a felony charge and 12 months from today's date you don't have a misdemeanor charge, but to file a habeas corpus petition challenging the voluntariness and constitutionality of this guilty plea?
Yes.
Your Honor, also, do
And
you,
You have
my-
30 days from
I was-
today to file a direct appeal from this guilty plea and until the end of this term of court to file a motion seeking to withdraw the guilty plea, which does not mean it would be granted, but that's the time period, okay?
What's a direct appeal?
Well, you can talk to your attorneys more about it, but it would be up to one of the, like the Court of Appeals, I think is where this one would go. Those just the
And-
time periods.
and Your Honor, the state, in addition to the sentence we are asking that the court to impose,
Okay.
we would also be asking the court to require or to forfeit, have defendant forfeit all of the property that has been seized and that is currently being held, that was found or recovered or taken from his home after it was searched on May 9th.
Do you have any kind of list of what that property is? I mean, I'm not familiar with what was seized.
And Your Honor, we're
We-
not,
We
we're not
do, and
agreeing.
that,
Oh, I know, I mean, I assume y'all aren't agreeing to anything.
not
or you
agreeing
would
to that.
Present it as a negotiated plea.
we're not, but we do have a list of the
All right.
property
Do you have it
items.
where available right now?
Yes, actually, would the court permit us to send it electronically?
Sure,
Because we
that's fine. And then if that is not imposed as a condition, is it just get litigated as like any forfeiture matter?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
it
ci-
would be litigated
it's a
later
s-
on,
It's
yes.
a civil separate filing
Okay.
in this court. It's not related to the criminal.
right.
It's related case, but it's unrelated.
Understood.
And we are sending that to Your
All right.
Honor.
There's rumors that the DA's office has been riding around in his property. So the fact that they just asked him to forfeit his property,
Thank you.
At this time. And as it relates to the conditions of a conviction under 1615-4, Your Honor, we would ask, or as part of the sentence, defendant would be required to adhere to the requirements, the sentencing requirements of the gang statute, which at least in part require that he not associate with any gang members whatsoever. And I can read the rest of that into the record if the court requires, or I can continue with the factual basis.
All right, and let me ask you, because I know that at least while y'all were negotiating, one of the things that I guess was being negotiated was some exception for, I think, somebody that is contractually obligated on his record label.
Eh.
Is that something that the state would still be in agreement to?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
All right. Your Honor, as part of the requirements of 1615, 4,
Yes.
defendant would, one moment, Your Honor.
You wouldn't be able to use it.
Under 1615.4, in addition to any other penalty provided by the code section, all sentences imposed under the code section shall require as a special condition of the sentence that the person sentenced shall not knowingly
Slow down
have.
just a tad, because there's a
My
court reporter
apologies.
taking it down. And when we start reading, we read really fast. So go ahead.
This code section shall require as a special condition of the sentence that the person sentenced shall not knowingly have contact of any kind or character with any other member or associate of a criminal street gang, shall not participate in any criminal gang activity, and in cases involving a victim, shall not knowingly have contact of any kind or character with any such victim or any member of any such victim's family or household. So that is, and we've listed in our indictment the victims of the crimes, the overt acts that have been committed, and under the basic conspiracy law, those are the victims that we are naming. Your Honor, as this case has been tried and would continue to be tried until the state completed its case in chief, the evidence has shown that the defendant, throughout the time between 2013 to 2022, conspired with both indicted and unindicted co-conspirators to participate in the enterprise known as Young Slime Life, or YSL, through a pattern of racketeering activity. Throughout that time, multiple conspirators, both indicted and unindicted, and including the defendant, have committed overt acts intended to further the enterprise itself. With regard to the defendant, as far back, the evidence has shown, as 2013, the defendant, along with other YSL founding members, Walter Murphy, for one, committed an aggravated assault and armed robbery against a Derek Dotson. The court has heard evidence of that presented through Adrian Bean, who was a co-conspirator in that particular act. The armed robbery of an Archillian Bennett back in 2013. As alleged in the indictment, defendant and unindicted and indicted co-conspirators committed acts to further YSL that included drug sales, aggravated assault, and murder. They used and furthered, rather, this conspiracy by using social media posts and music to assert the violent nature of and the dominance of Young Slime Life, which is also known as YSL. The defendant is charged with being a leader of the gang YSL, and evidence has been presented by accomplices and co-founders of YSL, Trontavia Stevens and Walter Murphy, and evidence would have been presented, in the words of the defendant himself, that the defendant, as shown by some of his own social media postings, was the founder, one of the founders of YSL, along with Mr. Stevens and Mr. Murphy. YSL formed, according to the evidence that has come out in this trial, in 2012, 2013, under the former version of the name of the gang called Rock Crew, or Raised on Cleveland. The court has heard evidence of the 2014 and 2015 incidents that have involved conflicts between YSL members and IF gang members that included someone shooting the window of Mr. Williams' car and armed individuals rushing outside during shootings at Club Crucial to ensure Mr. Williams' safety, shootings at a place called the Dugout where armed individuals rushed to ensure Mr. Williams' safety, shootings at Mr. Kelvin Watts committed by members of YSL, communication with members of YSL after those incidents, and ultimately the murder of Donovan Thomas at the hands of members of YSL. The evidence has shown and will show that on January 10th of 2015, members of YSL drove a car rented by the defendant, a gray Infiniti, and drove past Mr. Thomas as he stood outside of a barber shop congregating with friends, and unloaded an array of bullets on Mr. Thomas, hitting him, his Chevrolet Tahoe, and 2 other persons in the process. Mr. Thomas died from those bullets. Phone records show that communication was held between Mr. Williams, Mr. Kelvin Treadwell, Mr. Demise McMullen, corroborating accomplice testimony that has been presented in this courtroom regarding what happened, who committed the murder, and what happened to the guns and the vehicles that were used in the murder. After the murder of Donovan Thomas Jr., the members of YSL responsible for the murder and members of YSL who were not responsible for the murder congregated at Mr. Williams' condominium called the Sky House, and they all made plans and later either drove or flew down to Miami. Prior factual acknowledgments by members of YSL include that Mr. Williams gave each of the persons who accompanied him to Miami money to lay low as they left the city following the murder of Mr. Thomas. The evidence has shown the ensuing conflict that occurred after Mr. Thomas was killed. It has shown shootings at Mr. Rashawn Bennett's home, shootings at Mr. Darren Mills' mother's home, and I said Mr. Rashawn Bennett's mother's home. Shootings unrelated to the conflict with members of IF gang, of a Lil Wayne tour bus. That shooting followed the confronting by Atlanta Police Department of members of YSL that drove to the compound where Lil Wayne was making an appearance, and who drove there with the intent to disrupt and cause harm and to shoot up Lil Wayne's tour bus. Lil Wayne was another artist with whom Mr. Williams was having conflict, according to the testimony that had been presented. Mr. Williams had come out at that time with a mixtape that carried the name of an album that Mr. Carter was set to release and was not able to because his label would not allow that to happen. That caused a contractual or the threat of a lawsuit. It caused Mr. Williams angst. He posted about it. He said derogatory things about the persons who were threatening him with the lawsuit. And as a result, he had to rename his mixtape to something different than what he initially intended. The person who ultimately was convicted of shooting that tour bus up. Jimmy Winfrey is a person that I believe that recordings have come in regarding jail phone calls, rather, from Mr. Winfrey and members of YSL regarding communication about getting a lawyer. Following the shootings that occurred in 2015, music, social media postings, and other overt acts were committed by Mr. Williams and other members of YSL, taunting members of groups that they considered opposition to YSL, posting of threats of violence by members of YSL against those people. Specifically, the music, Your Honor, contained lyrics such as the following. I rep my life for real, for slimes, you know I kill. I shoot at your mammy, need to stand down. I up my stamina, take it to trial, get an appeal, take it to trial. Pay for that casket, that's just if we whack them. YSL slimy and shady, watch me whack that bitch, pop them like assist, Glock with the assist. It also consisted of a song wherein Mr. Williams sang or rapped the lyrics, hey, this is that slime shit, that YSL shit, killing 12 shit, fuck a jail shit. I'm in the VIP, I got the pistol on my hip, fuck the police. You praying that you live, I'm praying that I hit, this that slime shit. 100 rounds in a Tahoe, I'm prepared to take them down. Got banana clips for all these ends acting monkey. This is that slime shit, this is that mob shit. Fuck the judge, YSL, this that mob life. Defendant Williams released a video on YouTube of a song wherein he states, I shot at his mommy, now he no longer mentions me. Act like you want war and they gonna smoke you like a blunt. Another song, I escaped every one of the licks because I was supposed to be rich. I don't care nothing about a cop. I'm just telling you how it is. I done did the robbing, I done did the jacking, now I'm full rapping. Gave the lawyer close to $2 million, he handles all the killing. We don't speak about shit on wax, it's all my business. We know to kill the biggest cats of all kittens. In another song, I was on Cleveland, stuck like a magnet, bitch ass N-word, pay for that casket, that's just if we whack them. And yet another song, Defendant Williams raps, red just like Elmo, but I never fucking giggle, YSL won't fold. Pick his ass off from the balcony, wipe an end's nose. I'm gonna F for the cash, then she getting robbed by Tick, a reference to Trontavia Stevens. All I ever wanted was the money, put your hands in the air if you dare. F and N, put him in a wheelchair. And even later on, Mr. Williams, and I believe that this was in 2019, made a post to YFN Lucci or Rayshawn Bennett. If I ain't like what you do for your mother and kids, I would have been killed you. And in yet another song entitled Anybody, Defendant Williams stated, I never killed anybody, but I got something to do with that body. I got the streets on my back, carry it like I'm moving a body. I told them to shoot 100 rounds like he trying to movie the body. Ready for war like I'm Russia. I get all types of cash. I'm a general. As Mr. Williams' prominence in the music industry rose, his ascension within or in leadership in the gang YSL became more apparent as he rapped and talked about the crimes that YSL co-conspirators and members committed and how he got away with robberies. With respect to the Donovan Thomas murder, the court has heard evidence through phone records that within 6 minutes of the shooting of Donovan Thomas Jr., a phone call was made from Demise McMullen's cell phone to Defendant Williams' phone. And then immediately after that call, Mr. Williams calls his sister Dora Greer and then calls Kelvin Treadwell. There's then a series of calls between Dora Greer and Treadwell, and then Treadwell calls Demise McMullen or Nard. All of those calls happen within 15 minutes of the 911 call. And as I have stated before, the court has heard accomplice prior inconsistent statements about who committed the murder itself and what happened afterwards. The conflict between YSL and members of IF Gang continued into 2019, wherein Mr. Williams raps the lyrics that I referred to earlier. In May 2019, a YSL member shot multiple times at a vehicle owned by Rayshawn Bennett, a black and red Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon. That at the time was being driven by a Milton Howard Jr. It was after that incident, later in August 2019, that Defendant Williams posted on his page the language YFN, if I ain't like what you do for your mother and kids, I would have been killed you. The post was then deleted from his account. Through text messages of a co-conspirator, Marquavius Huey, there was communication between Mr. Huey and Mr. Williams, both in January and in September of 2020. On January 19th, 2020, Mr. Williams sent a flyer to Marquavius Huey with the performance location of Rayshawn Bennett or YFN Lucci. And when he sent that, he sent it with the message, handle that tonight, SLAT, S-L-A-T-T. Mr. Huey responded, SLAT, S-L-A-T-T. On September 2nd, 2020, Mr. Huey sent a flyer to Mr. Williams with another performance location of YFN Lucci. And Mr. Williams responded, Slatty, that is S-L-A-T-T-Y, handle, and stay very low. Mr. Huey responded, slat, and for show, F-A-S-H-O. I've been out the way and appreciate you for everything, my brother. Never about money with me. I'm built on loyalty. Mr. Williams responded, slat, handle that. I got you. Through text messages and on a separate occasion, Mr. Huey said and conveyed to Mr. Williams that he would sit down for any one of them. And I believe that to be a reference of going to jail. When Mr. Bennett was not killed in 2022, Jaden Myrick sought permission from Defendant Williams to stab Mr. Bennett while Mr. Bennett resided with Mr. Myrick at the jail. Mr. Myrick reached out to co-indictee Khalif Adams, who reached out to co-indictee Demikion Garlington to get permission from Mr. Williams. Demikion Garlington was also involved in the back and forth shootings back in 2015. On February 9th, 2022, Rashawn Bennett was stabbed by Jaden Myrick at the Fulton County Jail. And after that stabbing, Mr. Myrick reached out multiple times to Mr. Adams for some type of compensation for the stabbing. Mr. Adams reached out to Mr. Garlington about the payment for the completion. On February the 22nd, 2022, YSL co-conspirator and co-indictee Christian Eppinger called YSL co-conspirator Antonio Sumlin to get permission to finish what Mr. Myrick could not complete, that is the killing of Mr. Bennett. Mr. Eppinger asked for payment for a lawyer. However, these calls were intercepted and Mr. Bennett was relocated. In March 2022, information about the stabbing made the news, and shortly thereafter, a series of violent offenses occurred. On March 11, 2022, YSL associates Christian McMiller and Darius Ford were gunned down. Mr. McMiller is a childhood friend of Mr. Williams. Mr. Ford was also a friend of Mr. Williams. On March 12th, the day after, there was a shootout near the Cleveland Avenue area. A shooting by a YSL associate, Stephen Harris, in YFN territory occurred, and a YFN member was shot in the head. March 11th through March 14th, there were a number of social media posts going back and forth between members of YSL and YFN. One of them was a post by Shannon Stillwells. "We ain't the only ones who ain't gonna be crying, that's going to be crying." After a posting was made by Mr. Watts picturing him, Mr. Shamel Drinks, and Mr. Jasper Walters, on March 14th, 2022, after YSL members spotted Mr. Drinks at a gas station, Mr. Drinks was gunned down as he drove away from the gas station and waited at a red light. Later, Mr. Stillwell, Mr. Nichols, Mr. Garlington, and Mr. Farley were all charged with the murder. That is one of the acts that we are still would anticipate the court seeing the evidence of during the course of this trial. After grand jury warrants were issued after this indictment for Mr. Williams and 27 other co-conspirators, following searches of phones, wiretaps, and other information that led police to understand the role that Mr. Williams played in the YSL street gang and enterprise. Mr. Williams' home, he was arrested at his home and a search warrant was executed inside his home. While at his home, a sale amounts of illegal narcotics, including those that he is charged with in this indictment, was found. Also found was the machine gun with which the defendant has been charged in this indictment. The gun had a switch. The narcotics included marijuana, codeine, and cocaine. And inside the home were also other guns besides the guns with the switch. The items were seized, and again, Mr. Williams was subsequently arrested, along with other YSL members at Mr. Williams' home.
Organization and press counsel.
Your Honor, that is the evidence that I believe has been shown throughout the course of this trial and that the state would continue to show. There are several messages between Mr. Huey and Mr. Williams inside the cell phone one of the cell phones that were recovered from Mr. Huey, besides the messages about
Wait, what happened to the sound?
tells Mr. Williams he has a new number. Mr. Huey asks Mr. Williams, hey, my brother, I'm fucked up. You ain't got nobody I can pull up on and have something in my pocket. Mr. Williams responds, slat, let me call BEO. Mr. Huey responding, slat, I need you, my brother. Mr. Huey saying, asking whether or not a lawyer was going to go and talk to another YSL associate, asking Mr. Williams to send him some money to pay his lawyer off. Mr. Williams asking Mr. Huey, who had been accused of armed robbery, what did he want? Mr. Huey responded with a number. Mr. Williams responded, slat. After Mr. Williams stole a star ring from one of the victims in the indictment, he asked Mr. Williams, do you have a star ring? Mr. Williams said, yes. Mr. Huey said, slat, you can't cash at me $500 so I can make a payment to my lawyer. Mr. Williams responded, slat. Mr. Huey sent him his phone number. Mr. Williams assured him through his responses, slat, that he would take care of them. Throughout Mr. Huey's phone, you see messages of this nature between Mr. Huey and Mr. Williams. The court, again, will hear that as this trial continues. The recommendation that the state previously made prior to us reaching this point was made with the hope that Mr. Williams would agree to certain special conditions of probation that we asked him to adhere to, and that he would take ownership and responsibility for being the leader of YSL. Given that those negotiations have broken down, we are asking that the court sentence Mr. Williams as we have asked earlier. And prior to the court imposing a sentence, we would ask that Ms. Shawana Edmonds, who is the mother of Mr. Thomas, be allowed an opportunity to make an impact statement. And that is all that we have, unless the court has questions.
Okay, well, given that Mr. Williams is not charged with the murder of Mr. Thomas, I don't think that is applicable here.
I checked on that, Your Honor, with respect to count one. As a co-conspirator, Mr. Williams is responsible for all of the acts of the other co-conspirators, the overt acts. The overt act of the murder of Donovan Thomas is one of those acts.
I know, and this trial is not complete, and so y'all have not yet proven that. Not to mention that you dismissed the murder charge against one of the co-defendants who already pled, so.
Not
All
for
right.
that case, Your Honor. That was that was Mr. Drinks.
Okay.
We have not dismissed any.
All right, well, if there is a conviction on the RICO or murder count following the close of this trial, that would be the appropriate time for the victim impact statement to be made. All right, Mr. Steele or Mr. Adams, does the defense want to put anything on the record? Obviously, you need to make a recommendation.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Many of the statements made by the prosecutor, we vehemently disagree with. The prosecutor misstated many pieces of evidence and then took liberty that that is the state's theory. Mr. Williams has tendered a nolo contendere plea to the RICO conspiracy count. And in that count, there are several overt acts. And the first one, Your Honor, deals with a traffic stop. It's on September 9th of 2013. And I won't go through every one because it might take a long time, but just for completeness for this, as court knows, Mr. Williams is driving a car. There is a dash cam video of the stop. The officer who testified at the trial 11 years later, the case was, a gun was found under the passenger seat. Mr. Williams is not tied to the gun. He's not convicted of that. And the dash cam video that the officer said would have picked up sound as well as definitely video was never turned over to us, supposedly lost, could not explain the loss. The armed robbery in another overt act of Mr. Dodson, D-O-D-S-O-N, has the following information. The state only, because we haven't called witnesses yet. So the state put up a man who said nothing except, I don't recall. And then they put in his prior recorded jail calls. That man was taken, his name is Mr. Bean, B-E-A-N. He was taken to Grady Hospital and he was spoken with by a detective. The state vehemently accused me of lying to the jury, that the man never went, Mr. Bean was never taken to Grady Hospital, and that somehow I planted on him to say something on a recording where he said, the reason I implicated Jeffrey Williams is because the police told me that it would be easier for me. Then I had to go through the CAD reports and show that Mr. Bean was in fact taken to Grady Hospital, and Mr. Bean on recording told Detective Quinn, who of course told the truth. Yes, when I spoke to the detective previously, I did lie. Then what the state doesn't tell the jury is that there's another man in the car. He is shot at the scene. He's arrested. He pled guilty. His name is Fred Prethro, P-R-E-T-H-O. And Mr. Prethro is in the Georgia State Prison System, easy to find. Mr. Prethro was in Grady Hospital also, unfortunately suffering from a gunshot wound. And you can hear the medical equipment behind him. And Detective Williams came in and was recording the whole conversation and said how many people were in the car. And Mr. Prethro names the people: Adrian Bean, who's the gentleman I just said, himself, and Walter Murphy. Are you sure there weren't a fourth person in the car? No, the three of us. The state doesn't call that person. The state does call Detective Williams. So I wanted to ask and inquire on that. The state, to obstruct, if that's obstruction, asked the predecessor court to prohibit me from getting into the fact of any conversation that would have impeached another witness. It's fine. Fred Prethro's on my witness list as well as the detective, and I have the recordings. In addition to that, Walter Murphy gave a statement while in the hospital, and his statement is very interesting. It's two different police reports, signed the same date, which is September 11th of 2013, and on the first 7 lines of the police report, they're identical. Then all of a sudden, when it gets to on the right-hand police report, it says Mr. Murphy stated that there were 3 people, I believe, I have to go back, in the vehicle. On the other police report, it states Mr. Murphy stated there were 4 people. There's no reason that they should be different. They're both signed the same. The state doesn't call that officer at all. I tried to ask Mr. Murphy about it. The state objects, and the predecessor judge sustained the objection. Mr. Williams was not involved in the Mr. Dotson. Miss Bennett, that was Mother's Day, May 12, 2013. She reports allegedly an armed robbery. The detective who testified here and investigated stated he never took out arrest warrants from Mr. Williams. And he wrote in his police report, Miss Bennett is not truthful. That is the case that the state is talking about. The state then, there was Brady evidence that they don't turn over, and we find out about it in court after they arrest Miss Bennett because they say she's not cooperating, and it comes out that she told the prosecution over and over again that this did not happen the way that she reported it, and she doesn't remember. As to Donovan Thomas, and Mr. Williams has nothing but empathy, sympathy, and sorrow. They were friends. It is a lie. What the prosecution has put before this jury is a lie. What happened here is the prosecution comes up with a theory because they need a motive, they think. I know you don't need a motive in reality to prove a murder case or any other case, but they wanted a motive. So they made it where Mr. Williams and a gentleman named Rich Homie Kwan, his name is Mr. Lamar, he's a performer, and Mr. Williams and Mr. Lamar were close. There are public documents, recordings, Mr. Lamar being interviewed almost every year, and then he talks about his time with this band or group called Rich Gang. And he says every year up to this past year, he, God forbid, died. We can't call him as a witness, how close he is to Mr. Williams. The state, though, made it in this case, or tried to make it, that Mr. Williams and Mr. Rich Homie Kwan are enemies because Rich Homie Kwan will not sign with a record label that has nothing to do with Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams doesn't sign that record label. That record label is owned by a gentleman named Brian Williams, also goes by Birdman, wildly successful. He started Drake's career. He started Mr. Dwayne Carter, performer known as Lil Wayne's career. He started Nicki Minaj's career, just fabulous, powerful person, well-respected in the industry. But the state wants it to be that Donovan Thomas interceded and would not let Rich Homie Kwan sign to Mr. Brian Birdman Williams. And that is the reason that Jeffrey Williams had a feud and killed Donovan Thomas. Your Honor, what the evidence would really show if we kept going to trial, and I could tell you that Mr. Adams and I never thought we'd be in front of this honorable court. We always thought it would go all the way through trial. Was the state is saying that Rich Homie Kwan and Jeffrey Williams don't speak since the fall, and they have a bad relationship the fall of 2014. We would have shown, and we served on the state, December 15th, 2014, Jeffrey Williams in a private plane with Mr. Lamar or Rich Homie Kwan, and they are high-fiving and laughing with each other. That is on audio video. There's a man who the state hasn't called yet, Mr. Martinez Arnold, also known as Duke. It's on the state's witness list. He's represented by the Honorable Ashley Merchant. He's on that plane as well. He would have identified the item, and he would have testified that Mr. Williams and Mr. Lamar were very close in December 2014. Then on December 29th of 2014, Mr. Williams, Mr. Rich Homie Kwan, Mr. Arnold, others were at Brian Williams' home in Miami, Florida. There was a posting by Mr. Lamar, Rich Homie Kwan, and a picture of Mr. Arnold and Mr. Lamar, and they said, Mr. Lamar says, "This is my number one man, Duke," or something to that effect. We would have put that into evidence. In addition to that, Your Honor, on December 8th, 2 days before Mr. Thomas, God forbid, was killed, Mr. Williams is with Mr. Thomas, as well as Mr. Sledge and Brian Williams in Brian Williams' tour bus outside of a fabulous entertainer, artist, Mr. Clifford Harris, T.I.'s studio. And at that time, they were very close. But you also have the detective with the gang unit, Detective Underwood. I asked her within the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, did you do any, and she was on the gang unit the entire time, including today. And I asked her, do you have any evidence about Mr. Williams and Mr. Thomas being close friends? And she said, yes. Of course, I knew that. I said, how about in January of 2015, close to time of Mr. Thomas's death? She said, yes, they were close friends. Mr. Michael Sprinkle, he's a deputy district attorney in the Fulton County DA's office. He has a recording with Mr. Treadwell. You've heard the name O.G. Bentley. And in that, they're going through the evidence. And Mr. Treadwell, it's important because he has a child, two actually, with Mr. Thomas's sister. So he's family. And Mr. Sprinkle states this is 2018, this is after the rental car, this is after all of the interviews of Mr. Copeland, this is after the interviews of Mr. Zachary. Mr. Sprinkle's in some of those interviews with Mr. Zachary. Mr. Sprinkle on tape, on recording, states, I do not know why anybody thinks Jeffrey Williams is involved in this killing. He and Donovan Thomas were close friends. It makes no sense to anyone. And Mr. Williams was never arrested, never charged, even in this, as the court just noted, with anything to do with Donovan Thomas's, God forbid, killing. In addition to that, Donovan Thomas has a place that he used to stay with a group of people on Auburn Avenue. Jeffrey Williams performed and did a music shoot there to try to help other people who are suffering in poverty to get out and to be able to be seen and to broadcast their music. Jeffrey Williams does that for everybody because he comes, Your Honor, from the struggle of total poverty, seeing people killed. He saw his brother die right in front of him, and the law enforcement, I'm not blaming anybody, everybody's on edge, but law enforcement would not get any help for him because there are all these people around. It is just what Mr. Williams has gone through is wrong for everyone. It's not just Mr. Williams, it's that whole community, but he's trying to get people out of poverty and out of that community. I have been with Mr. Williams where we have gone to speak with children together. And he tells them, don't be a rapper. Be like Brian, be a lawyer, keep in school. He tells his children, get your education. His family, his whole being, Your Honor, is trying to break the chains of poverty for others. And it has been spun in this courtroom with false statements and allegations against Mr. Williams at every turn. In addition to that, Your Honor, the state talks about the fact that Mr. Williams takes people to Miami. You would have heard evidence if we went forward. I put all these people on my witness list. Not one person on my witness list has been interviewed by law enforcement or the prosecution. They have investigated this case for 15 years. They haven't interviewed all these people. That Sprinter van that you heard about, that was already booked days before. Going to Miami, Florida, Mr. Williams and Mr. Brian Birdman Williams, they did a video shoot for a music video. If anybody would have gone further with the expert for the state, they would have seen that Mr. Williams' cell phone does not contact any of the co-defendants that are named here in Miami, and Mr. Williams stays at a separate location than any of those persons. He would always take people who can't afford it on airplanes, on buses, on tours, to his concerts. He let everyone go because, Your Honor, they never left that area. He wanted to show people you have an opportunity. The world is big. Mr. Williams gave jobs to everybody who'd want to work. He'd give them jobs and security, and I'm not insulting them. They really weren't their jobs, but they were being mentored, but they were given titles and tried to give them respect and opportunity. But if they did not wish to work, Mr. Williams would not allow them to work with them. This has all been turned on its head by the state. The fact that the state has put in Mr. Williams' lyrics are offensive. Mr. Williams has tens of thousands of recordings. On our witness list, we are bringing in all of his people, his recording artists, his engineers, his managers, his record label, and an expert, the Honorable Dr. Eric Nielsen, to talk about how Mr. Williams creates his music. His music is then changed around and merged. Mr. Williams, some of the lyrics you just heard are not even uttered by Mr. Williams. The state has no idea when these lyrics were made. Some of them were made before the shooting of Donovan Thomas that the state is saying this applies to Donovan Thomas killing with the Tahoe. They are so far afield of where we need to be when we are trying to, God forbid, take somebody's liberty, Your Honor. The state is talking about things like F the judge and I rep my life for real. That's not even said by Mr. Williams, but they don't care to find out. They are on a tunnel vision to try to convict a man who should not be convicted. The statement about I never killed nobody, but I got something to do with that body if the state just bothered to talk with anybody, that is a Nicki Minaj song with Jeffrey Williams. It is written by Nicki Minaj. That is on the text messages I gave, not the text message, the Instagram or Twitter rather, that I gave to the state. That is out well before this, but the state doesn't care. This is out in 2015 or 16 or 17 or 18, I can't remember, I think 18, where Mr. Williams is asked who wrote anybody, and his response is anybody who's written by Nicki Minaj, and it was. But it was really written and sung, it's a takeoff of a song by Tupac. There's a song that it parallels, which is an inspiration. But here we are with the state. Also, I never killed nobody, but I got something to do with the body. The next line comes up is, it's a truancy body. The state can't explain that, so they just conveniently leave it out. Your Honor, there were wiretaps on this case. Mr. Williams, it was going to come out, there was an application to wiretap his phone. The state never presented it to a judge. That speaks volumes. The leader of the YSL criminal street gang, who's been involved from 2012 until his arrest, and even according to the state, while we sit here, they never even tried to wiretap his phone. It might have been because they don't really know what his phone number is. So all these communications you're being told about with Mr. Huey, I'm not so sure the state could have gotten anybody to say that's Mr. Williams' phone. This is how the trial has gone for us. But we sit here for almost 2 years since we did our jury selection initiation on January 4th, 2023. Mr. Williams has been sitting in a jail since May 9th, 2022. This is 2.5 years waiting for the conclusion of the state's case and a verdict from the jury, and that's why he is tendering this plea. I'm telling the court this, and the court knows when you came out the first time, it's very hard for Mr. Williams. I am not supportive of what we're doing right now. I'm not against it. But I told Mr. Williams, you okay with me saying that? Yes. I told Mr. Williams that I think we're winning the trial and we should go to verdict. But he told me I can't wait another 3 months if there is any possibility I could go home because I have children that are hurting. I have things to do, and he has some medical issues that he would like to tend to. He eats out of a bag, Your Honor. He eats processed food only. He gained 75 pounds during trial. He's lost it since. But it's not that enjoyable for Mr. Williams. He told me he wakes up. I said, yes. He wakes up every day, and it's another day in HE blank blank. Your Honor, the state is talking about, in this case, they put in social media. This honorable court was not here, but the state put in that Mr. Williams, in the indictment, Mr. Williams put out a call for murder. He put $24 million murder for hire on a person's head. That is a lot of money, and that is awful. If they would have read the chat, the Instagram chat, Mr. Williams, right above it, there's a picture of a very well-known, very accomplished musical artist who actually had surgically implanted in his forehead a pink diamond worth $24 million that day. That's what Mr. Williams would talk about. That's the type of evidence that is coming from the state of Georgia in this case. It is wrong. This is all wrong. And I know we're pleading guilty, and I know we're pleading nolo, and I know we're asking this honorable court for a certain sentence, and we'll get to it with the court's permission. But this is the type of evidence that there is. But it is holding this man hostage. And that's not really what we're supposed to do, district attorney time, in the state of Georgia or anywhere. The state then, because I opened on that, then they never bothered to put in all of the chats. Why did it take me to read the chats? In addition to that, going back to Donovan Thomas, talk about Mr. Williams involved, the state did a geofence. A geofence tracks his devices. It doesn't have to be a phone. It could be an iPad. It could be any type of electronic device that targets and is used. You don't have to be on the phone. It's the contact. If he has an app open, it'll capture it. And the state targeted the McDonald's, where they keep saying that Mr. Williams met with people there. They targeted the barbershop where, God forbid, the killing occurred. And they targeted a third location, no, 2 locations. And it comes out, Ms. Williams' devices are not there. It's exculpatory. I don't get that information. I got that because I interviewed Lieutenant Crabtree, and the results can't be found, according to prosecution. I did a motion for that. They just can't find it. That is great evidence for Mr. Williams. It would have also shown clearly that when he does go down from his house after getting this call that I'll talk about from Demise McMullen, he's not with these other people. And the expert for the state, the FBI agent who does the telephone analysis, Mr. Williams' phone does not ping off the same tower as a Demise McMullen or a Mr. Copeland or a Mr. Garlington or whomever. The state of Georgia has misrepresented for 2 years in front of this jury. They have hidden evidence. They have violated Brady. They have falsely accused Mr. Williams. Your Honor, saying that Mr. Williams gets that call 7 minutes after, the state said 6, it was 7 minutes after the killing of Donovan Thomas from Demise McMullen. Mr. Williams was already out of his home. Mr. Demise McMullen's calling Mr. Williams. He's not even there. He's going down to meet with Mr. Kelvin Treadwell, also known as O.G. Bentley. O.G. Bentley was supposed to go to Miami, Florida. They were talking about this deal. And Mr. Williams, that day, he was given another contract. Mr. Williams, by this time, he went from 0 money. He is a multimillionaire at the time. He doesn't need the Cleveland Avenue drug deals for $15. He doesn't need the shootings. He wasn't even living in Atlanta since 2018, 19, 20, 21. He came back the very end of 21, 6 months, and he got arrested in May of 2022. In his house, Your Honor, we have everyone on the witness list. There are 12 people living at that house. Mr. Williams opens up any of a car that he has. He'll rent cars for people. Any home he has, he will allow people to live in hotels because people that he knows, unfortunately, are homeless. And he gives them all places to stay, cars to drive around. He is not involved in criminal activity. Mr. Williams just got back in our country. His passport shows it. Right before he was arrested on May 9th of 2022, there were other people in that house with the drugs and the guns. There are people whose the guns are in their names. They were going to come in court and claim the guns. Everybody else was doing as well, but Mr. Williams has entered a guilty plea. I'm not going back on that, but I just want you to know that this case is just wrong to do to somebody with no bond and to hold him hostage. He wants to, you may not do it. He's aware of that. He's aware of that. But the state offered him 15 years on probation, but they keep piling on these conditions. He just said, he made up his mind. He said, I'm just going to go with it. I got to get home. Judge may not let me home, but I'm not doing these conditions and admit that I'm the leader and I'm involved in the killing, and my music just promoted everybody to do it. He's not going to do that. So he did not do that. And that's how we wound up here. The state, the night of the killing, people came to Mr. Williams' home. The state tells the court, he said, lay low. What they don't tell you is right after that, he gave money to Mr. Sledge, who said, they're going to kill me. They think I did it. And Mr. Williams said, if you had anything to do with it, I don't want to be with you. And Mr. Sledge said, I just need a hotel room with my children and my bride or my significant other to get to. And Mr. Williams said, be safe, lay low. That's the lay low. In addition to that, Mr. Williams told Mr. Copeland, Mr. Copeland's with the police. Hours after the killing of Mr. Donovan Thomas, Mr. Copeland goes to the police department. Mr. Williams is the person who told him to go. Mr. Copeland said, what do I do? They're shooting at my house, at my family's house, at my significant other's mother's house. And Mr. Williams said, if you had anything to do with the murder, get out of here. Mr. Copeland denied it. And Mr. Williams said, then go tell the police. Mr. Copeland said, you want me to go to the police? And Mr. Williams said, if you had nothing to do with it, they think you did it, go to the police. In addition to that, Mr. Copeland said, well, I'm going to retaliate. Mr. Williams told him, don't do that. Let 12 handle. That's on recordings. That is on recordings on January 11th of 2015 with Detective Thorpe. Your Honor, as far as Dwayne Carter, a performer known as Lil Wayne, Mr. Williams had no conflict with him. They are friends. We were presenting evidence that right before this shooting of the tour bus is April 26th of 2015. Mr. Williams is performing in New Orleans area. Then that's the area where it's Holly Grove, where Mr. Carter, or Lil Wayne, a performer known as Lil Wayne, comes from. And in order to drum up popularity and interest, people get on the internet and they start what's called rap battles, arguments, feuds. That's what happened here, and you would have heard testimony from Mr. Williams' management that they said, start a rap battle. It'll be better for your career. Mr. Dwayne Carter is aware of that. Mr. Dwayne Carter's interviewed. The state's aware of this. He has interviews after this. Are you mad? What's the real deal with Jeffrey Williams? He states, no, he's great with me. He brought popularity to me. He loves me. He idolizes me, and I love working with him. They did an album together. In 2014, they're in the studio together, making music together. It is all made up that Mr. Williams is involved. Mr. Williams gives a statement. The state refuses to put it in and then stop me, the previous judge, from cross-examining the detective. His name is Racy. He met with Mr. Williams in the DeKalb County Jail on the 15th day of July 2015. Mr. Williams is arrested that day. And there's a long interview. And Mr. Williams waives his right to counsel. He tells them, I'm his lawyer. They say, you don't want to speak to us? You don't have to. He said, well, I'll speak with you. And they asked Mr. Williams these questions. What about Lil Wayne's shooting? He said, it was outrageous. I love him. That's my idol. I love Lil Wayne. How about this battle? He says it's promotion. They asked him about his rap lyrics. It's the only person that the state ever did anything about rap lyrics with. And they asked Mr. Williams, what about the rap lyrics? And he tells them, it's hyperbole. He didn't use that word. He used the word, it's made up. It's rhyming. It's made up. Not like the state is saying that I rap lyrics for real. That's not even Mr. Williams' utterance. Your Honor, the point I'm trying to make to you is what the state of Georgia has presented to this jury in this courtroom the past year has been full of untruths, and they know it. The state says that Mr. Williams had a conflict because he named an album with Dwayne Carter, and Dwayne Carter didn't like that. Dwayne Carter's interviewed. He said, that was one of the nicest things anyone could have done to me. It shows how much he really appreciates me. It shows respect and honor, and I appreciate what he did. The state knows this. With regards to Jimmy Winfrey, what the state did is they put in a recording. It's not Mr. Williams. It's a jail recording, Mr. Winfrey and an unknown person. And an unknown person says, when you get out, you're going to get a Porsche and $250,000. Mr. Williams not privy to that. The state looked at all of Mr. Williams' bank records, everything. They undressed him financially. There's zero evidence Mr. Williams did anything for Mr. Winfrey. The state tells you that Mr. Winfrey asked for money for a lawyer. the conversation was, and it's recorded, it was with Mr. Williams' manager. And Jimmy Winfrey said, I need to show that I was gainfully employed for the court. Can you get me something from YSL? And the manager said, yeah, if we have it, and if it's true, yes, you can have it. That is it. There's no evidence that Mr. Williams paid for anybody's lawyer, Mr. Winfrey or otherwise. In addition to that, Your Honor, the social media postings with Mr. Rashawn Bennett, also known as YFN Lucci. So Mr. Williams, the state tells Mr. Bennett on social media, I would have killed you if I didn't like the way you take care of your mother and children. That is the post. What they don't tell you is Mr. Bennett, who is also, to his credit, trying to drum up his career. Mr. Bennett is picking on Mr. Williams, who's a much higher profile artist than Mr. Bennett at that time. And Mr. Bennett is saying that he slept with Mr. Williams' fiance while Mr. Williams and she are a significant couple, that Mr. Williams' music is awful. Nobody should listen to his music ever. Mr. Williams responds by saying, we can do an album together if you want. Stop this. The man continues of how he's sleeping with Mr. Williams' significant other. And then Mr. Williams responds by saying, I would have killed you except for what you do. That is the context that they don't tell you about. And Mr. Williams did nothing to Mr. Bennett. In fact, the evidence would have shown, if we had time or we would have gone forward, that Mr. Bennett and Mr. Williams are on the red carpet receiving awards in California, sitting right next to each other and taking photographs. This is not the Jeffrey Williams. Jeffrey Williams is a known person who is all over the place. If he did something, somebody wanted him, they can find him. This is not he is not hanging out on Cleveland Avenue. What the state is saying are not true. The situation with Mr. Bennett. So he's in the Fulton County Jail and he's housed, and there are crazy, sick, violent people, and they're on the phone, and Mr. Myrick, M-Y-R-I-C, is calling other people, supposed co-conspirators. How much will Jeffrey Williams give? He doesn't say that, but that's the theme of it, as well as Christian Eppinger. What the state doesn't tell you is that when Mr. Sumlin is asked, hey, find out how much Thug will pay me to kill Mr. YFN Lucci, Mr. Sumlin says, I don't know his number. I can't get in touch with him. He doesn't talk to me. And that's because, Your Honor, since 2015, and he means no insult, but Jeffrey Williams has had zero contact with Shannon Stillwell until this case, Kenneth Copeland, Demikian Garlington, Justin Cobb, Demise McMullen, Mr. Sledge, Mr. Murphy, all these people. This is a lie. This is a 100% lie, and that's why we tendered a no-low plea to being a leader of a criminal street gang. Mr. Williams is not a leader. In fact, if it would go forward, on Mr. Huey's phone, there are conversations with Mr. Copeland. And they both say how Jeffrey Williams is a zero, and F him. And they don't talk to him, and Jeffrey Williams never does anything for them. Mr. Huey, Mr. Williams met later. He met him closer in the time of 2020. Mr. Huey's father went through a horrible episode that Mr. Williams knew, and that's how Mr. Williams knew his son, who's Mr. Huey. And Mr. Huey's on hard times, and Mr. Huey's making mistakes. And Mr. Huey, supposedly, Mr. Williams believes, armed robbed a man named Chandler Durham, D-U-R-H-A-M. Mr. Durham is Mr. Williams. He's a fabulous record engineer. And Mr. Williams states, give him back, tell him to give back the property or he's going to die. The state puts that as an overt act. No one dies. The property doesn't get returned. Mr. Huey ignores Mr. Williams. The state told you today that Jeffrey Williams sent Mr. Huey a posting that Mr. YFN Lucci is going to be performing on January 19, 2020. That's not true. Mr. Huey sent that to whoever phone that was. And all it says is slat and slatty. Well, I went out to the places that Mr. Bennett was supposed to perform. There's no shooting. There was no fight. There was nothing to report. There's nothing here. In addition, the state says same thing on September 12th, September 2nd, 2022 on Mr. Huey's phone. I'm not conceding that was Jeffrey Williams even having a conversation with him, but even if it was, it doesn't show anything. It says slatty, lay low. Lay low means don't do anything. Get out of the way. That is what it is. That is Mr. Williams' role. Mr. Williams, there is evidence in the record, and there would have been more. He takes people on tour with him. He takes people to the mall with him. But when they do crime or do things to people, for instance, there was a prostitute, and several people gave that prostitute money, $500. And the prostitute, at the end of the $500, getting $500 from several people, had sex with a person, and then she was armed robbed. So all the money came back. Mr. Williams wasn't involved in that, but he heard about it. He made those people find the prostitute and repaid her every dime. People stole from stores that Mr. Williams found about. He went to the stores and he repaid all that. He didn't steal anything. He doesn't need to steal anything. Your Honor, Mr. Williams stands with Elton John. Elton John called Mr. Williams the next coming of John Lennon. Mr. Williams is unbelievable talent. He's not just a rap artist. In fact, when he's interviewed in 2017,
I feel like the judge is going to go above and beyond past what the recommendation is. Look at her face.
he gives a statement and he says, I had to learn rap. He grew up in a house learning other forms of music. He likes all music, but rap hit in his community, and his community raised him. They supported him. They came out to him. They made him get into establishments. And once the establishment saw all the people come out, he got more establishments. And then he went out of that little area in Atlanta to other parts of Georgia, and then to all the neighboring states and throughout our country. And he has performed on every continent but one. He has performed in front of, being the headliner, 300,000 people at one time. He has a real life and career. He is not the leader, and he is not worried about buying jewelry that is stolen. Mr. Williams is actually innocent. I'm not trying to corrupt our plea. That's his plea, and he's entitled to it, and he wants it, and he embraces it. But to me, this is a wrongful prosecution. This is outrageous.
All right, so you're pleading guilty, or your client is pleading guilty to counts 57 through 62.
It's all true.
Do you
Yes, there's a
concede
factual
there's a
basis.
factual
I
basis for those
concede.
counts?
Yes, I concede that.
Okay. All right, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. And Your Honor, I'll answer any of your questions, but the point I'm trying to make is 45 years to serve 25 years in prison, when just this morning, it was a probationary offer. It was a probationary offer. The state knows, but they want to control. They have this theory of music, and they want to stop Mr. Williams from making music, from entertaining, just stop his life. That's just not right. And it's wrong of the district attorney in Fulton County to do that. If they offer probation, then he's not a 45 to serve 25 years in custody type of person, and he's certainly not the person that the state has stated in front of the court. What we're asking, Your Honor, on count one, which is the RICO count, to accept the nolo contendere plea. Please sentence Mr. Williams to 20 years to serve 5 years in prison commuted to time served. Mr. Williams has served, as I said, 22.5 years. On count 56, Your Honor, that's the leadership of a gang. Nolo plea, 20 years to serve 5 years, commuted to time served, consecutive to all other counts. On count 57, which is a gang count, Your Honor, not a leader, guilty plea, 20 years to serve 5 years, commuted to time served, concurrent with count 1. With regard to count 58, which is possession of, I believe it is marijuana with intent to distribute, 10-year sentence on probation, concurrent with count 1. On count 59, which is violation Georgia Controlled Substance Act, possession of codeine with intent to distribute, 5 years on probation, concurrent with count 1. On count 59, Your Honor, which is violation Georgia Controlled Substance Act, possession of cocaine, 3 years on probation, concurrent with count 1. Count 61, 5 years of probation. It's a firearm count, consecutive to the other counts, consecutive to before count 56. And then count 62, 10 years to serve, commuted to time served. That should be a total sentence, Your Honor, that we are respectfully requesting the court to consider. I believe it's 45 years to serve 5 years in prison, commuted to time served, 40 years on probation, credit for the time already served and community time served. As I said, after 3 years of probation, the probation becomes non-reporting, and after successful completion of 10 years on probation, the balance of the sentence be terminated. Mr. Williams asked the court for house arrest for 3 years as part of the sentence, but house arrest specifically defined that Mr. Williams will be in his home or at any lawful employment, touring, studio, performance, business meetings, and the like. Wear an ankle monitor for the first year and pay the costs of same, and the company must be approved by probation department, and the ankle monitor to be affixed within 10 days of hopeful release from custody. Mr. Williams cannot possess a firearm, but he can be around licensed security who are armed or other persons who are lawfully carrying a firearm with a license. And that would be knowingly for Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams can transfer probation outside the state of Georgia. He has residences in the state of California. He has studios in the state of California. Mr. Williams be allowed to travel throughout our country and the world for lawful work-related industries. Mr. Williams wants to perform. He's going to do this anyway, Your Honor, but we made it part of the sentence. At least one concert each year at a venue, if they'll have him holding 10,000 people, if that is workable for the venue and Mr. Williams' management, and he is going to donate all of the profits that he makes to a 501c3 charity. Mr. Williams wants to pledge $100,000 for the next 3 years to the Fulton County Sheriff's Office if they will hold an illegal firearm buyback to buy back firearms that are not supposed to be on our streets. Mr. Williams does not wish to go near the Cleveland Avenue area, not to insult that area at all, but it is just not a good idea under this circumstance. And he can drive on the highway, but otherwise not come within 1 mile of the area that we call Cleveland Avenue, and we can give the exact dimensions of that area. Mr. Williams must perform 100 hours of community service per year for the next 3 years as designated by probation department. Mr. Williams can associate, and this was agreed to previously, with people who are convicted felon or alleged gang members solely for lawful purpose of making music.
I see Ms. Love shaking her head, and I think it's fair to establish that until the entirety of the negotiations were agreed to, it was all up in the air.
Sure.
That may have been something y'all had already hammered out, but it's not anything they're bound to.
Absolutely.
Fair. Okay.
I agree with that. Mr. Williams can have no contact with any of the supposed victims, and there was an Exhibit A attached to the state's proposed plea agreement, negotiated plea agreement that was sent to you, so we adopt that Exhibit A, but we can give it to the court if you need those names. And Mr. Williams have no contact with any of the co-defendants in this indictment, with the exception of Mr. Quantavious Greer, that is his biological brother, as well as Mr. Sergio Kitchens. He's a phenomenal artist. He goes performer known as Gunna, Gunna. Mr. Williams and Mr. Kitchens are contractually obligated, and they frequently perform music together. Your Honor, any other conditions that this honorable court deems appropriate? I want to thank the court for all your time. Always, I want to thank Ms. Percifield for everything she has done. I want to thank Mr. Williams for allowing me to stand with him. And I really never thought we would be here, but this is his decision. I want to thank the Honorable Keith Adams, who may want to speak, Your Honor, but I can never imagine a better lawyer than Keith Adams.
Mr. Adams, do you want to add anything to the record?
Your Honor, I don't know that there's really much to add. Mr. Steele has represented to the court, I think fully and thoroughly, the breadth of our knowledge of the case, Mr. Williams's background. I think the court has not just heard it from Mr. Steele, but has had the opportunity to sit here and hear some of the evidence and kind of get a feel. You've had a chance also to observe Mr. Williams and then get a feel for him, his background, and so forth. You know, the only thing I can say about Mr. Williams that hasn't been said is that he comes from an area. You might have heard throughout the course of the trial that there was an album, a concert tour. We came from nothing. And that is true. Mr. Williams came from, you know, I hate to use the word abject poverty, but that really is the case. Came from an area where there was a significant amount of crime, where, as you've heard, he's had tragedy in his life and has observed tragedy in his life. And he has gone through a good bit. He has been involved in a lot, but he has raised himself up. He has done the best he could and has done phenomenally well, and is, I think, an inspiration to a lot of people from that community who look to him and see the success that he has gained and have been fully supportive of him. But he finds himself here. He's in front of you. He is tendering this plea because he accepts responsibility. You have heard everything Mr. Steele has had to say. I can only ask that you follow what we have put before you. You also have, I believe, the paperwork that was given to you by the state, which kind of gives you some idea of what they were looking for as well in terms of conditions on Mr. Williams, if we were to have reached some sort of agreement. And we ask that if you feel that there's anything within the state's proposal that might be appropriate in terms of the sentence for Mr. Williams, that the court please feel free to do that. There is nothing that he puts himself before the court. And I think 2.5 years sitting, going through this process, challenging the process, but now standing before you and asking that you consider everything and sentence him appropriately in the way that we've requested. I'd simply ask you, I join Mr. Steele and Mr. Williams in asking you to do the same. And I thank you as well, as Mr. Steele did, for your patience with us and for bringing some order to the proceedings that candidly was needed. So that's all I have to say. I thank you again, and I ask you to consider everything that's been put before you.
All right, Mr. Williams, is there anything that you want to say?
Yes, ma'am. I take full responsibility for, my crimes or my charges. I want to say sorry to my family, my mom.
Ooh-wee.
My mom got 11 kids. I can't say all their names, my managers, my kids that's not here, really everybody that got something to do with this situation, I want to say sorry for just like, you know, having so much time invested into this, you know, and I am a smart guy, I am a good guy, and I really got a good heart, you know. I find myself in a lot of stuff because I was just nice or cool, you know, and I understand that you can't be that way when you reach a certain height because it could end bad, and they don't really have to have nothing to do with you, but it could end bad and it could, you know, fall on you. And I know the choice is yours, it's up to you, and I hope that you allow me to go home today and just trust in me to just do the right thing and never see you again unless it's at a, you know, bar in the future or something. Just out of this type of situation, I promise you I won't ever be in this type of situation again. I'm going away. I've learned from my mistakes. You know, I come from nothing and I've made something and I didn't take full advantage of it. I'm sorry. Through these last 2.5 years of my life, you are really, truly, honestly, the best thing that has happened to me because you made everything fair for me and everybody involved on both sides, you know. I'm sorry to the sheriff, you know, everybody for just having to put extra time in. I know y'all got paid more money, but I'm sorry for y'all having to put this extra time in to be away from y'all family, you know, and I just hope that you find it in your heart to allow me to go home and be with my family and just do better as a person. I know what I bring to the table. I know what I am. I know the heights I've reached. I know the impact I got on people, period, in the community, you know, all people. I learned that late, like these past 2 or 3 years of my life, I kind of learned that late. And maybe it was because I was, you know, probably on drugs or anything, I don't know. But I have came to my senses and I understand what I mean to this world. But I am a good guy, you know, I don't mind doing stuff like, you know, like free shows, and I always did that. You know, I did free shows and gave it to single parents, millions of dollars. You know, I made $1.8 million on a free show, and I gave it all to single parent charity. And I did like 2 or 3 shows that made like $700,000 a piece, and I gave it to the breast cancer organization. Like, you know, I do things like I put millions of dollars back into my community for real. I really did. I did more than anybody ever did from my side, you know. But I understand, you know, rap lyrics. I understand how it could be twisted. I understand what it could do to the mind of people. I understand all that, and I promise you, I'm 100% changing that. You know, it's just I'm older, I'm grown now, you know, and it's just like I'm smarter. It's more things to rap about. Like I've experienced a lot of good things. I experienced more bad things, but I experienced a lot of good things too. And anyway, I can go forever.
Well, I appreciate it. And I appreciate that you do realize how much of an impact you have on people. I mean, it's past your neighborhood. It's worldwide, especially young people. And having come up from where you came up from and living in and around that, you know that gangs are damaging to our community. And it may be that a whole lot of rap music and the rap industry is, I mean, honestly, it sounds like a modern day version of kind of WWE wrestling that used to be on television, where people would just get up and posture and act like they hated each other. And it may be that that's a lot of what is going on in the music industry with rap. But whether it is fake or not, it has tremendous impact on kids and young people who think, this is cool, this is what I want to do. Look at him, he's a millionaire. I can do that by being, a gangster in the streets. And that's not true. What you're likely to have happen to you if you're a gangster in the streets is you get shot, you get killed, or you get thrown in prison. And those are, by far the most likely outcomes. And, you've been in here watching the trial, and you've seen the pictures of Mr. Ryan posing with a gun as big as he is at 15 years old and going out and shooting and killing another teenager. And that's what gangs do. And that's unfortunately a lot of what rap music does. And if you are a modern day John Lennon, he might have rapped too in this day and age. I don't know, but I know you're talented. And even if you choose to continue to rap, you need to try to use your influence to let kids know that that is not the way to go, and that there are ways out of poverty besides hooking up with the powerful guy at the end of the street selling drugs. And, I know that happens for protection sometimes, but a much better way would be getting an education and hanging around with people who set a good example. And you be one of those people that sets a good example. All right, so that's my high horse on that. I could also go on. But I want you to try to be more of the solution and less of the problem. All right. All right. So it is not lost on the court that the state, had they been able to come to agreement on certain special conditions, was willing to entirely dismiss the RICO count, was willing to entirely dismiss one of the gang counts, and was willing to entirely dismiss this, machine gun count. Was willing to give a sentence that permitted Mr. Williams to walk out of the door today, and therefore does not seem to be particularly worried that Mr. Williams, if on the streets, would be a danger to society. I'm taking that into consideration and crafting my sentence. And in permitting a nolo plea to the RICO count in one of the two gang counts, I would not be permitting the nolo to the one if you were not pleading guilty to at least one of them. But you are, and y'all admit a factual basis for the counts that you are pleading guilty to. I find there to be a factual basis for those counts, and for the remaining counts with which you are charged. I am going to impose a sentence, and I've taken a little bit of the suggested special conditions from the defense and a little bit of the special conditions suggested by the prosecution. On count one, the court sentence is 20 years to serve 5 years, commuted to time served, the balance of 15 years to be probated, and a $25,000 fine. On count two, the sentence is 5 years to serve, commuted to time served. That's the minimum sentence that's permitted on that count. It is required to be run consecutively. I'm going to run it consecutive to count one, but I am going to backload. Oh, I'm sorry, that is not commuted. That is 5 years to serve, and it's going to be run consecutively to count one, backloaded, by which I mean after you serve your 15 years of probation. If you have been successful on that probation, and I sincerely hope that you are, then at the end of that 15 years, I will commute the entire rest of any service portion of your sentence to time served. So I'll get to the end of it and give you the total sentence, but I'm also going to impose a $15,000 fine with regard to that count. Count 57, 20 years to serve 5, commuted to time served, the balance of 15 years probated, concurrent with count 1. Count 58, 10 years to serve 5, commuted to time served, balance probated, concurrent with count 1. 59, 5 years to serve, commuted to time served, concurrent with count 1. 60, 5 years to serve, commuted to time served, concurrent with count 1. Count 61, 5 years to serve, that is required to be also a consecutive sentence, so that's going to be run consecutively to count 56 and backloaded. Count 62, 10 years to serve, also required to be served consecutively, that's going to be consecutive to count 61, also backloaded. So essentially, the total sentence is 40 years to serve the first 5 years in prison, but commuted to the time that you have already served, followed by 15 years on probation, followed then by the backloaded 20 years, which can be served in custody and will be served in custody if you are not successful on your probation. If you are successful in completing your 15 years probation, that will be commuted to time served. You are to remain on reporting status for the first half of your probation, active reporting for the first 7.5 years of your probation, and that is pursuant to OCGA 17-10-1, subsection 2A. And Mr. Steele and Mr. Adams, in order to keep him on reporting status, there needs to be good cause shown. We all concede that good cause is shown here?
Stipulate.
All right, I appreciate that. Special conditions of your probation.
What good cause? What do it mean?
Can I have a second, Your Honor?
Sure.
Let the judge. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. You had enough time to talk with your attorneys?
Yes.
Okay. All right, special conditions of your probation. After 48 hours from your release, you are to stay away from the metro Atlanta area, and that's defined by the U.S. Census Bureau. It may change, but you can look that up anytime to figure out what that is. For the first 10 years of your probation, subject to the following exceptions, you are permitted to be in the metro Atlanta area to attend any wedding, funeral, or graduation from high school, college, or graduate school of any of your immediate family members. And immediate family members is defined the same way that you all were contemplating it when you were negotiating. You can get here up to 24 hours prior to any such event, and you need to leave within 48 hours after any such event. In addition, during each year of your probation, I'm going to require that you come to the metro Atlanta area and make a live anti-gang and anti-gun violence presentation 4 times a year, each year of your probation, at a grade school, a middle school, a boys or girls club, anything like that, that type of group. And if you want to, that presentation can include a benefit concert, and these presentations may count towards your required community service hours, which I'm going to impose, that during each year of your probation, you perform 100 hours of community service. You are, and this is required by the fact that there's a gang conviction. You shall not knowingly have contact of any kind or character with any other member or associate of any criminal street gang. Exception to that, if your brother is a member of any street gang, I hope you talk him into getting out of it. Quantavious Greer, and then also Sergio Kitchens, as long as you are contractually obligated to him. That is going to include anybody who is named in this indictment. except as absolutely necessary to conduct the lawful business of your musical career, and to any extent that the state is not agreeing to the exception for Mr. Kitchens, in the event that that part is not enforceable because it is only a portion of a special condition, going to provide that that be severable from the rest of this, and I'll put some case cites in the Senate sheet for that. You are in no way to promote any criminal street gang or any criminal street gang activity, including on any social media platform. You are not to utilize any hand signs, terminology, or language that promotes any criminal street gang. You are not to participate in any criminal street gang activity. You are not to knowingly engage in any contact with any of the victims that are listed in this indictment or with any of their family members. And you may not have in your possession or with arm's reach any kind of a firearm because you're going to be a convicted felon. And that is, except I know that you have security and you need security. You can be within arm's reach of a firearm that is in the possession of either licensed law enforcement or licensed security personnel that are in your security detail or anybody that you're performing with. You are to submit to random drug screens and not use any drugs unless they are prescribed for you by a licensed physician. You are to execute a Fourth Amendment waiver that will permit the search of your person, residence, vehicles, and electronics for any firearms, any criminal street gang paraphernalia, or any illicit drugs. And as I mentioned, with regard to one of the first of your co-defendants from this trial, at least since I've been involved, to plead guilty, our Uniform Superior Court rules instruct and provide that it is absolutely proper for a judge to grant leniency in sentencing when, quote, the interest of the public in the effective administration of criminal justice are served, unquote. And I think that this plea is in the interest of the public and in the interest of effective administration of justice. Have been trying to ensure that to the extent I can, this trial also abides by that. It's been challenging at certain times. I find your plea to be freely, knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily entered with an understanding of the consequences, and I accept it as such. I also need to inform you that your attorneys were going to represent you through either the last day of this term of court or 30 days from now, whichever is later, and any of the filings that were mentioned that need to be filed within that time, they would file on your behalf unless they are permitted to withdraw from representing you before that time. I am not going to impose the conditions suggested by your counsel about the benefit concerts and the donations to the sheriff's office, but I certainly strongly encourage you to do those things and to do and continue to do things that benefit your community and especially help young people to stay out of criminal trouble. And unless there is anything from counsel other than that.
I have one matter, Your Honor.
Okay, and does the state as well?
Your Honor, with regards to Mr. Williams being permitted to come to the Metro Atlanta area
Yes.
or Cleveland Avenue area for funeral or the other items,
Right.
can you also consider, God forbid, there's a serious medical condition of a person that
In
is,
his immediate family,
yeah.
certainly, we can add that. And I also meant to mention, because I know you do travel all over in order to pursue your career, that it's permissible for your probation to be transferred to out of state, and that has to be done through probation, but that is fine with the court. And you may also keep your, nobody's mentioned it, but keep your passport and travel out of state and internationally to the extent that you need to do that for business purposes as well. All right, Mr. Body.
Yes, just very briefly, and thank you. The district attorney just wanted me to urge the court, due to the fact that the Thomases have been negatively affected incredibly traumatically by what has been discussed by both parties here today, to make a brief statement as she believes that they fall within the exception or within the bounds of Marcy's law, if the court would allow. I understand the court made a ruling earlier as it relates to that, but she wants
All right, thank you. And I appreciate, well, I cannot even begin to understand what they must, anybody must be going through when they lose a family member to violence or criminal violence. Mr. Williams himself has expressed his own sorrow to the family. I, again, am going to stand by my belief that the appropriate time to hear a victim impact statement from them is at the close of the trial that contains the murder count with regard to their family member. All right, thank you. Okay, court is adjourned. Good luck to you. And I'm going to have there better be no violations, but if there are any, you're coming back to see me.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And you're So Young Thug is free today. If anybody wants to come up, let me know what y'all think. I predicted there was gonna be a plea, and I was right. It was a gamble, but oh my God. If he violates 15, you know how much they are going to gun for him, how much they're going to try to get him jammed up on anything. He is making his best. His lawyers knew that. So transferring him out of Atlanta and into California was brilliant. However, 15 years on probation. And I didn't hear them mention, like, they said that he can't promote gang or whatever. But what about his prior recordings, his musical recordings? Like, is he not going to be able to perform his prior music that had anything to do with, like, you know, YSL or anything like that? Like, is he not going to be able to promote YSL anymore? Like, they weren't clear on that part. But if you guys, Cali is not that hot. I live in California. I'm in California right now. You see me with a sweater on right now. But he's coming to California. I want to know what you guys think about it. Let's talk about this on the stream. If you guys have enjoyed watching it here, I would appreciate if y'all show love to the stream via a Cash App, Super Chat. You know, I hosted the freaking plea and sentencing. So I would love to, if y'all appreciate the stream, y'all to also support the stream as well. But I do want to know if there's anybody. It's almost 2,000 people on this live right now. I would definitely want to hear from y'all. What do y'all think of the deal? He has 15 years to serve. 15 years to serve on probation, where he gets to go home free today. Like, he cannot make no mistakes at all. None whatsoever, which is crazy. I mean, what do y'all think about it? What's it giving? You said you think he can do it? Good for him. He made it out. He made it out. That looked to bury him over 100 years. he can perform. It's moving forward of what he needs to change. Okay, y'all say you think he can do it. Thanks, Judge. Not one mistake. Yeah, he can't. He gonna just have to, if there's any firearm, he gonna have to make sure that he always has somebody armed, security with him. I know when he goes live, I know if he goes live today, that live probably gonna have over 1 million people in that live. I know that he is definitely gonna go live as soon as they allow him free. I know Mariah the scientist is happy she stayed down for her man, for my man. Everybody was calling her silly, saying that you know, she shouldn't hold him down and all of that. But she held it down. She held it down, and now she get to hug her man and say, my man, my man, my man. I know she happy as heck right now. So thank you so much, Sabrina. I appreciate this so much. She said, thank you for an amazing stream. It was intense. Yes. I would love for some of y'all to come up and let me know what y'all think as well about it. I'm getting texts. Let me tell some people to come up here. I want to hear from y'all. And let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think about it. You said Lil Durk call attorney still now. I mean, if they got wiretaps of Lil Durk and him basically come up. Street TV said that probation will get modified after a couple years. It will not last 15 years. Child, that's crazy. But I want one of y'all to come up. I mean, why is y'all scared to come up and click the link is what I want to know. Am I putting the right link? Hold on. Because I can't believe it's almost 2,000 of y'all up here and y'all scared to click the link. And I hope that y'all have pressed the like button. Hit the like button. Okay. You said we at work. All 2,000 of y'all is not at work. You said the judge understood the assignment. Yeah, the judge said y'all would have let him out. So I'm going to let him out. Basically, Mariah the scientist just posted. All right, I'm going to pull it up. Urban Flavors, what's your thought? All right, Fight Alert.
What it do?
What's up? What's your thoughts?
Man, he had to know he was coming. He had to know before he decided to take that deal.
It was a blind plea. She could have said like F what the prosecution recommend, F what your attorney recommend. I'm sentencing you to 100 years. She could have said that.
But I'm telling you, the way court worked, I'm an ex-con. Off the record, he knew what he was. He knew he was gonna go home before he put it. He didn't take that chance blindly though. Officially, yeah, but he knew. He knew.
He still was taking a gamble either way.
That's the way they selling the story to us. They got to for the legals, but in his heart, I don't know if he was fucking the judge. He knew he was coming home if he did that. I think he knew he was in there. He a cold nigga. He probably had her right here a long time ago. I'm telling you.
But what I think though, I think that she said this is in the interest of the public. I think if she would have booked him for 100 years, number one, she already knew that still was gonna come for her because she already prejudiced and became biased or appeared biased. So she did it not only in the interest of him, but in the interest of herself and in the DAs to make it look like, look, we're not terrible people. We're not totally just, against them or whatever. She did this plea to save herself and to save face for the prosecution is what I'm thinking. She said, this is in the interest of the public, meaning if we don't give him grace, we're fucked.
So you think Thug had a beat?
There's thousands and thousands of people that are going to come for our offices. There's thousands and thousands of people who are going to come for our seats, our positions. Yes, I think that when she said that it was in the interest of the public, it was in their best interest as a court. We fucked up. We need to tighten this up. What's your thoughts, Sovereign Heart?
I'm just coming on to say you were right. You were right. You were right. And I agree with what you're saying now. It wasn't just for the best interest of the public. It was just what you said. But what I'm looking at, because it was so heartfelt, is that can you just imagine the impact if he changed his music, what it would do for drill music? We really need this right now. That's the good thing that I see coming out of this.
He still got to get on stage with that old shit now. He finna come home the man. Well, he got to sing the old shit.
True, but the way I was looking at it is she could have looked at it as, you know, you had the opportunity to change the community and you didn't take that opportunity. You know what I mean? She could have looked at it and honestly, because he could have went that route. But for me, I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, damn, could we really hear some positive music coming from Young Thug? Because it's really needed right now.
I was trying to cover your activity over there, Spider. That's
my bad. My bad.
Urban Flavors, what's your thoughts?
You were right, Nick.
Man, this was the worst DA I ever seen in my life. They gave the case away.
You said they gave the case away?
The DA.
What you mean?
What's their names? The DA. They were the worst.
Hilton and Loves.
Yeah.
What do you mean they gave it away? I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about.
You know how many times they was about to I'm sorry, hold on. You know how many times they was about to the judge was about to drop the case?
Well, the case is still going on though. Shannon and the other guys still, right? They're still pursuing.
Yeah, they're still going on.
Have y'all been watching the case?
Yeah.
Yeah, we watch it religiously.
You see how many times the judge had to, man, you see how many mistakes they've been making? It's been cringeworthy.
I was saying against what Neek said earlier was that, you know, I think he should have went forth, but Neek she read it. She saw that he was gonna take a plea. He was just ready to get out of there. He was just ready to get out of there.
That's it. That's it right there.
It's still with Shannon, the tricky right now, the two that's still on trial, I don't know. It may, I don't know. It's looking kind of sketchy.
Hold up. What do y'all mean he was ready to get up out of there?
Ready to get out?
That's why he took that plea. He was tired of fighting.
No, he wasn't giving that plea. No, the DA messed that case up, so they had to give him that plea.
But he
wasn't giving that plea. A month ago, he wasn't giving that plea.
But he
didn't have to take that plea.
Take it. He could have stood in and fought.
Miss Gina, go ahead. What's your thoughts? Urban Flavors don't know what he's talking about.
I'm just that part. Can you see? First of all, I want to tell you thank you. You have done a phenomenal job this entire time. Not only this, but all the other stuff, the Tiny and TI, everything.
True.
Like I watch. And baby, you need your flowers. You did your big one, for real.
Thank you.
So I don't have much to say. I know that the terms and conditions are not, you know what I mean, what everybody wanted. Because I just wanted a full acquittal. Let that man go home. That's just all I felt. But I do understand the way the law and everything works. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. Let's just hope and pray that everything works out.
You think he didn't do any of the crimes?
I mean, come on now. Let's keep it real. Everybody's
keep it
involved in
real.
something at some point. I mean, but at the end of the day, like, they
He
really
shot
only
that
had him
man's
on
mother.
2 charges.
He shot that man's mother, shot the other man's father. He did all that shit.
Was that proven?
Nick, you got me on here with the police.
No, I'm not the
He
police,
did that
honey.
shit. And the
Not you,
policeman
baby.
because that's what he
Not
did it.
you. Not you. I'm talking about this nigga.
Oh yeah, because I'm like, what the? I mean, okay.
He
That's all I
happy.
can
He
say to
happy.
that.
The nigga. I sound like he mad.
He giving an objective perspective.
Right.
Right. So Spider, you saying because I said he did it, I'm the police, but the trial over. He ain't gonna get locked up for it.
No. It seemed like you was like not celebrating with the rest of us.
No, I ain't celebrating that. What are you talking about?
I mean,
People died. People got killed. What am I celebrating that for?
But
I'm gonna be clear. Thug got an amazing deal that he's able
Exactly.
to. He's not innocent.
Right. Okay. We're on
That's
the same
hard.
page.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, come on now. Like, clearly, you know, it's some shit with the shit. We all watched it. Not as thorough as you guys, but definitely I've been following it for a long time. So I get it. But at the end of the day, it's like justice needed to be served for him in particular. He had 2 charges. For real, for real. And none of them included.
he did 2 years.
Exactly.
And
And none of them, I mean, they let go, they dismissed people that actually was charged for the harsher crimes.
So I
And
got a
those
question for
victims
y'all.
still,
Is him and Gunna finna be fucking around doing music?
Yeah. So Gunna ain't really do nothing. All Gunna did was take the plea, and all he said was, "Yeah, it was a game." But that wasn't used against him in Young Thug's trial. You know what I'm saying? People trying to say he snitched,
You
but that
notice
was
when
never
Young
used
Thug
against
took
him.
his plea, he didn't admit to it being no gang still though.
Who?
Young
He didn't
Thug.
say it wasn't a gang. He said he's not the leader of the gang, and that's what he
Right. Yeah. He said it wasn't a leader.
upset to. He said he's not a leader, but he did get a gang charge,
Oh, okay.
Right.
and that's why they put
Was it Nolo?
That's why they imposed that he can't be around no gang members. But my whole thing is, Yak Gotti is on his label, so why wouldn't you put an exception for the communication contractually for Yak Gotti? Like he didn't even say that.
She said if you have to come in contact with any of them, a furtherance of your career, though, she left that open.
She did, but what?
Your mic is cutting out.
If he be a positive,
your mic is cutting out.
I don't know why. If he,
it's cutting out. I think you probably got to bring it closer to you or something. I'm not sure.
Oh no, if he could be a positive impact on the community, why would she even put something like that in place? Because that's what need to happen for him to be a positive impact on the community, and to put him against all of his friends. He grew up with these guys. I have a problem with that because he maybe he can turn their life around. Like I have a problem with that.
Yeah. So he could do his own music, but he can't make new music. I don't know. That was so confusing to me.
his new music just has like terms and conditions, basically no violence in a sense. So he's gonna be clever.
What about his own music? He can still perform it?
I didn't hear him
That
say
wasn't. I
no.
don't even think they thought about that. Right. It wasn't even spoke on because
she was extremely lenient with her conditions to me.
Exactly. Like I really feel like she was.
It's like she was.
Yeah.
Because like I was saying, the DA was messing the trial up. It was about to be like 5 mistrials.
But remember when the whole Gunna situation came up, and they said that he has to perform with them, they were like, okay.
All right, so now that it's left with Yak Gotti and Shannon, will she rule on the mistrial?
Probably.
She might.
She still have an opportunity to rule on the mistrial?
Yeah, that's still.
On what basis?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
On what basis?
I ain't gonna lie. How many people are really gonna be watching to see though?
She looking at it like from a. The show is over. That's crazy.
I'm not being funny. I'm just saying, like.
That's a reality, though.
I'm not watching no more.
It is. Like, I'm just saying. This is what they want. They wanted him. They wanted to tie him into all these things.
Are you saying that
So
that's not relevant? Wow, that's cold.
Not to us
I'm not
personally.
saying it's not relevant like that. I'm just saying, I mean,
I think it's gonna end in a mistrial at this point, because how you gonna go forward and the jury is used to seeing 6 defendants, hearing about 6 different cases, and then you say, okay, don't worry that the courtroom is empty now. Just let's focus on these 2 and y'all come to a decision. I don't think that the jury is gonna be like, what the, I think that she
and
has
then
to.
the head of the RICO.
No, I think it's the opposite. The jury gonna be like, okay, all we got to focus on is 2 people now. We have about what 6, 8 people before.
It's a big
Y'all
sales
said
for the
Courtney.
state, though.
But wasn't the
Doug
RICO
finna be the
based
man out
around
here,
thugs
though.
anyway?
He finna be the man out here.
A single
Major
bit of
way.
this beyond
Like,
the
didn't
reasonable
they
doubt.
need
Y'all
him to tie in multiple people?
They may say, you know what, I buy this, I don't buy that. I'm convicting you of 4 of the 5 or 4 of the 8 charges. You're still then going to face sentencing. They may convict you of everything. And if you are convicted of everything, Mr. Stillwell, you're facing 2 life sentences plus 85 years on top of that, as opposed to 40 years to serve with.
Wait, we missed something talking, y'all. Let's go back. What's going on? They came
Like
back.
everybody copping out.
Wait a minute. Hold up.
Gang activity, which carries a sentence of 5 to 20 years. He was also
Wait a minute.
Oh my God.
imprisonment. He's charged with count 57, which was participation in criminal street gang activity, which carries a sentence of 5 to 20 years. He was also charged with count 58, which is violation of the Georgia Controlled Substance Act. That is for the possession
This is for Shannon
Right,
Stillwell,
marijuana.
y'all.
of marijuana, which
Yeah.
carries a sentence of 1 to 10 years. As to count 59, I believe that's the possession of codeine with the intent to distribute, which is 1 to 5, which is 5 to 30 years. And count 59, which is the possession of cocaine, which
That
is
60 is possession of cocaine.
so 59 was the codeine, 60
Right.
is the possession of cocaine, which was 1 to 5 years. Possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, which was count 61, which is 5 years to serve consecutive to any count indictment. Possession of a machine gun, which was count 62, which was 10 years to serve consecutive. And then he was charged with count 63, which is possession of a firearm by a convicted felon pursuant to 1611-133. I know my math isn't the best, but that's life plus some years. The state's recommendation, Your Honor, was for Mr. Kendrick to plead to count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, which was 20 to serve 15. Count 2, the murder reduced to voluntary manslaughter, 20 years to serve 15. 20 years to serve 15. And then to the gang count 57, also 20 years to serve 15, all to run concurrent, and the state was willing to null pros all the other counts in the indictment.
All right. And Mr. Kendrick and the attorneys associated with you, I want to make sure that y'all know that unlike what happened with Mr. Williams, if you plead non-negotiated to less than all of the charges, there is nothing that the court can do if the state chooses to go forward with some of those charges. So you could not do what Mr. Williams pled guilty or nolo to each of the charges that he was facing. You cannot say, well, I'd like to plead guilty to count 1 and I'd like to plead to the reduced charge on count 2. And then I'd like to just skip the rest of them, because the state can say, well, we're not skipping the rest of them. We're still going to try you for the rest of them. And the state can also say, we're not okay with letting you plead to voluntary manslaughter unless you abide by the terms of the agreement we're going to go forward with the murder trial. So I know that Mr. Weinstein, you and Mr. Apt and everybody else who's been helping know that, but because things seem to have worked out sort of beneficially for some of these other people who have already pled, y'all might think, oh, well, gosh, can't we do something better than that? Given what you're facing, they hold a lot of the cards, and a lot of it is outside of the ability of this court to change. Okay? All right.
We understand that, Your Honor. Thank you for advising
All
us of
right.
that.
All right, Mr. Stillwell is facing,
Your Honor, Mr. Stillwell is also looking at count 1, which the conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, which is 5 to 20 years. He is facing 2 counts of murder for count 2 and count 49, which each carries a sentence of life imprisonment. He's also charged with count 50 of this indictment, Your Honor, which is participation in criminal street gang activity, which carries a sentence of 5 to 20 years. He's also charged with count 51, participation in criminal street gang activity, also a sentence of 5 to 20 years. Count 52, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, previously convicted under 1611-133, which is 15 years consecutive to any count in the indictment. 54, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, which is 5 years to serve consecutive. Count 64, which is another possession of a firearm by a convicted felon under 1611-133, which is also 15 years to serve consecutive. So Mr. Stillwell's looking at maximum of 2 life sentences plus
85 years.
Plus 85 years, Your Honor. The state's recommendation, and I'll just say globally, Your Honor, was 60 years to serve 40 years in prison. That we would have reduced both of the murders to voluntary manslaughter, Your Honor. And we had given his attorney the option to kind of craft how that 40 years would look. But that was the extent to our negotiations, Your Honor.
And Mr. Stillwell, kind of the same information to you. If the state does not want to reduce charges, you're not entitled to plead to reduce charges. They can say, you got to face these murder charges and we're going to make it a jury trial if you don't agree to what we're offering. Same thing, you can't say, well, I'd like those other charges dismissed if they're not willing to dismiss them in exchange for the negotiated sentence. So obviously each of you has the right to continue with the trial. You know, what you're doing, you are all have very capable attorneys representing you who clearly care very passionately about you all personally, as well as presenting your best case. But it's ultimately going to be up to the jury, and you cannot know what any jury is going to do. And they may say, I don't believe a single bit of this beyond a reasonable doubt. Y'all are both walking. They may say, you know what, I buy this, I don't buy that. I'm convicting you of 4 of the 5 or 4 of the 8 charges. You're still then going to face sentencing. They may convict you of everything. And if you are convicted of everything, Mr. Stillwell, you're facing 2 life sentences plus 85 years on top of that, as opposed to 40 years to serve with parole as a possibility. And Mr. Kendrick, you are facing life plus, I think I added up 115 years instead of 20 to serve 15. So it's just something to think about. And I mean, it's already past 5 o'clock. So are y'all going to leave the offer open until you have withdrawn the offer before you even put it on the record to?
We communicated this to them last night, and if they did not accept it, then we will have withdrawn off.
All right, well, given that the state spent the entire day negotiating, Mr. Williams plea. Ultimately unsuccessfully. I don't know if either Mr. Weinstein or Mr. Sharp would have been able to negotiate with you during today.
They would have, no one, we didn't have any communication from Mr. Weinstein or Mr. And they rejected the offer.
Okay.
I did have communication with Mr. Abate today. I attempted to have
All right.
communications with the DA last Tuesday
Well,
morning, but she failed to show up for our meeting.
Any chance y'all might leave it open until 9 o'clock tomorrow?
Your Honor, I'll consult with the DA and if she wishes to read.
Okay. I mean, I have no idea whether they'd want to keep it, but I haven't, we haven't put it on the record and I haven't ensured myself as the court that they understood what the potential sentences were up until just now. So I would appreciate it if she would, so that they have the opportunity, having heard from the court, to talk to their attorneys. And they may still say that we're good, we're going forward, but.
We'll consult with the district attorney, but as a.
Okay. So in the event that it is no longer open to you or that you decide to reject it anyway, I plan to start the trial again Monday morning. I'm going to have the jury be here at 9. I'm going to have us be here at 8:30. We're back to getting no sleep. So I'll see y'all at 8:30 regardless. Okay, now court is adjourned.
What do y'all think?
I'm gonna continue watching. I think. Do you see what
Is
they
she
just?
ready to hang his ass?
You see what they just did? They just said that they couldn't take the no-low pleas on lesser charges like Young Thug did.
They
So
want to get one of them for murder.
exactly, but
Ooh.
here's the thing, and I think I'll put this out there because I'm looking at this trial for a greater purpose, and it's because the court system, a lot of people don't know, is very, very, very corrupt. And the fact that this case is global, I hold the global constitution over by the global judge over the world. And what there are things going on behind the scenes that people are not aware of. So the fact that they weavering and they giving this person a plea, first off, they stacking cases. That's against the law. And none of what they're doing aligns with universal law, which is our new laws right now. That's being put into place to remove the court system from their corruption. That's my reason for looking at this case. And just watching the way that they doing all of this is beyond me. And I actually served them the global judicial notice. So to see how they're playing the game with these guys' life, it is what needed to be exposed on a global scale so that it can be dealt with on the back end.
But what did they do specifically? I mean, what are you saying?
I can't.
I mean, the judge basically said, no, you can't have the same deal as Young Thug because they were facing 150 years, like 100 years. So basically, the judge was just saying, I can't give you the same deal that Young Thug had because Young Thug was he was serving. I mean, he was facing like 20 years.
She told she compared Young Thugger to John Lennon. She fell in love with Thugger.
Exactly, favoritism. That's not in the position of a judge.
Hey,
that's not a judge.
Who was favored? Who had favoritism?
Who, the judge? Well, he just said that she certain way about John Lennon and what was made, and the entire case has just been ludicrous. It shouldn't even still be going on. But the things I'm speaking of is way above what we're watching on this. Really, it's way above that. But it's just it's really crazy how things are going, and it's about to come down, and a new system will be started. So that's my reason for looking at this stuff, honestly. Because they what they're doing is criminal, and you guys will see it. You'll witness this the entire.
Well, I mean, what's criminal?
what the court.
What the court is doing is criminal?
Oh, you like to argue. Now,
No, I'm just saying y'all gotta be specific with what y'all saying. I mean, it don't make no sense.
No, she talking about
Shannon
like
shot some people.
She talking like some sovereign citizen type stuff, I think.
It ain't sovereign citizen.
It's something like that.
It is
something to that effect. Okay.
It's up to try to hang Yak and Shannon, and it's basically like Young Thug said, "Listen, I'm out of here," and they left to fend for their damn selves.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't even specifically ask to be tied with Yak, who is signed to his label. And now the judge is telling them, like, nah, nigga, y'all probably gonna do 100 years.
Nah, they were the shooters. You know what I'm saying? They got murder charges.
They haven't proved that yet.
Right, but you're facing murder charges. If me and you had the same case, and you got charged with attempted murder, and all that stuff, and I just got like I'm facing 20 years. We're not gonna get the same plea.
All right. We got new people just entered the stream. What's your thoughts, JABRYJOEC? What's your thoughts?
Jay Bright, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think my man just said it. They facing something different. Like they the shooter. They looking at Young Thug as, you know.
All right, we're gonna go to Michael J. I don't know what's going on. You done just froze in thought or something? Michael J.
Can you hear me?
You was moving, but you wasn't saying nothing.
All day, so my patience is like. Michael J, go ahead.
I don't know, this thing freezing.
I mean, I think I'm happy with the decision.
My lips was moving, nigga.
You know, we were just talking about this a couple of minutes ago. So I'm happy with the decision. I'm happy that Thug Store gets to do what he does. I'm happy that his passport was not took away so he can, you know, leave out of the country. I'm happy with the fact that, you know, Paige Whitaker really started to show, and before she even started her sentencing guidelines and why she was doing it, you can tell that she understood how we say the hood. She understood the urban living. She said it a couple times, and for that, she gets my respect. And like Thug said, and I think I told yourself, I didn't like Judge Glanville, and when she came in here, it seemed that it was turning a little bit more. Now with Yak and them, that's a very difficult one. But I think Thug had to take his deal the way that he took his deal. Yak and them, I'm hoping that they make it out, because we gonna see how good these attorneys is, because they got the murder raps on.
And that's what I'm saying. If you're facing all these life sentences, like, what choice do you have? Why not just finish the trial?
I mean, because he can get we talking about, if I'm not mistaken, in Atlanta. I mean, somebody let me know, like, you can get the death penalty, or you can get life on top of life, with no parole. Yeah. My cousin is sitting in Fulton County right now because my one cousin got killed, and he was around them, but he won't snitch on them.
Yeah, it's called staying down.
Yeah, and that's what my cousin is doing right now. He's literally sitting there, and he was about to come up for parole in 2022, but the parole board in the state wanted him to snitch, but he said he wouldn't. So now he got to do 4 more years. I told him just take it to the door. Yeah, I told him take it to the door. Like, like young lady right here said, I can't pronounce your name correct right now, but that's just what the way we live in. But I'm hoping they make it out. But I'm happy with the deal. Thug continue to do what he do. If T.I. can do it, okay, and everybody else can do it, then Thug can do it. You see how they tried to get BG, okay, telling him, BG, oh, he can't rap with this and he can't do that and he can't go on concerts and all this and that, and he got to get approval of his own lyrics. The only thing that I heard her definitely say, you can't throw no gang signs.
That's it.
That's it. I'm not throwing no gang signs. The boy live in 3 different states. He got a crib in Miami. He got a crib in LA. Atlanta, I love y'all.
She said, go on and travel the world to get your money, young nigga.
Yeah.
Quit acting up.
Yeah. Go over there in Bali. And that's what Stills wanted. So Stills won. You feel
She
me?
said, don't come to Atlanta, though. She said, you can't come to the Atlanta Metro.
Yeah, stay about the ATL, though.
Yeah. And I know the state.
So
Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. I might be ignorant. I just have a question. What happens to the RICO now? Like, is it still a thing? Because it has to be one or more, right? Or prove that it was.
I'm not sure.
All individually have their own
acts.
So, you know.
Right.
So hopefully.
I get that part. I'm just saying because they needed Thug to tie in or make this RICO a RICO.
No,
he pled no low to that.
Yeah. So it's
Okay,
still the case.
gotcha.
It's still the case for them. So that's why hopefully they can come up with a good deal by tomorrow. But we all know it's not gonna happen because Fannie and them, somebody gonna take an L. Somebody
Want to get
for sure.
And they want to get. They're looking for. Let's get a guilty plea. Let's say it was YSL, and then let's file lawsuits against Young Thug since he the money man.
Yeah.
And that's
why they kept pressing so hard, promise whoever to make a statement so that they could use that in their lawsuit against Young Thug that they have.
But they can still sue him, right? Because whether he pled no low or not, they still
they gonna sue him.
ain't got
It's not
nothing
gonna
to
go
do with
nowhere.
civil.
They gonna sue him, but it's not gonna go nowhere.
Yeah, they gon' I feel like they gonna try, but shoot, at least he got the money allocated that she said, you don't gotta do all that. Just do your commitment.
That nigga finna
He literally said you don't have to
sleep in a big
do all that money financial thing.
I love the fact that he doesn't gotta be on what is it, house arrest. I love that factor.
Yeah, she didn't impose house arrest. She said you're free. Go to California. You can
no drug
You
testing.
can have your passport. You can still do your career.
No, he do got drug testing.
If he can't be
he has random drug tests.
Members.
They gonna be trying to cross him up with them drug tests.
Look, tell him to come to Cali. So one of them little community service hours up this way.
Oh, we already know. Listen, we know how it's gonna turn out. How y'all think this gonna turn out? A doctor gonna do what?
I'm in Cali too.
A doctor's gonna do what?
Well, look out for it.
Exactly. The doctor is going to do it.
I mean, come on. If young boy can try to do fake prescriptions.
No, he ain't even got to.
Michelle said, I didn't hear her mention whether he could get his property or not. That's going to be a separate hearing that they said that'll be a separate hearing. And you know what's jacked up about her request? We request that we keep his property.
Yeah.
That before this today, there was rumors that there was DAs that was riding around in his cars and DAs had his property and they were like flossing it or whatever, like using it. So the fact that they asked him to forfeit, crazy. I'm like, wow, the rumors, are they true?
Yes.
Is that like what? I thought the rumor was outlandish. I'm like, no way the DA is riding around in his stuff. But the fact that they asked him to forfeit his property.
That's insane.
Because the judge ain't gonna let that happen either. That's why she said we're gonna do that. We're gonna take care of this separately, because rightfully so. What they want to do is they want to recuperate a little bit more money, okay, for what do you call it? Restitution.
But here's the thing: if they could have,
that could have been stipulated, and he would have paid it, just like he was offering money up. And he would have paid it. So let it go.
That he was
exactly. Look how much money he clearly had to pay in attorney fees.
Well, you know, his attorney
was heartbroken.
Yeah,
His
but you
attorney
know
wanted
what?
to fight it
He's
out.
not paying for his attorney. So
Man,
yeah, T.I. and everybody else paid for his
his
attorney.
attorney was heartbroken.
Yeah.
He was. He did not
Listen,
want.
his attorney was heartbroken. You could see it all on his face. He kept rubbing his face. He like, man, this ain't it.
Right, would he not be able to communicate with T.I.?
No, he'll be able to do that as long as it's for work purposes.
Yeah, she left that stipulation as long as it's to further your career.
Yeah. So as long as it's it's for work, like he can do Gucci, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But see, what people don't fail to realize is this: if he completes his 15 years, she just signs off on everything, and then it's like it never happened.
But the chance of nothing happening in 15
Yeah, that's 15 years is a long time. God damn.
drugs at all. He do one slip up with a drug test, it's a wrap. He do one slip up with anything, it's a wrap. Like he really gotta walk straight and narrow.
Yeah. But like I said,
1,000%.
if we talk about just marijuana, now you talk about pills
Lawyers
and
are
all
live.
that.
Where? Lawyers are live where? Hold on, wait. Because y'all know we ain't missing nothing.
Man.
Hold on. The
Those
lawyers
babies
are
are so cute.
where? Come on, y'all ain't typing fast enough. I don't like when y'all give info and then y'all ain't giving us the info quicker. Where?
They outside the courtroom.
Where though? What stream?
Infamous Sylvia. Infamous Sky Channel.
All right, hold on. Dang, it's nighttime out there.
Right.
You know the time change. The time changed.
Girl, it's high traffic in my area. I'm still parked at the mall. I was supposed to go in 2 hours ago.
Smoke break.
Crime, you charge them with the crime, you put it in front of a jury, and then you do it fairly and let the chips fall where they may. The courtroom is not the place to get adventurous, to get inventive, to think, well, we don't have evidence on him for any of these incidents, but maybe, if just maybe, we tie him up in a RICO and put him with people who may have committed crimes, we can get him that way. That's an abuse. And so, yes, for some strange reason, the Fulton County DA's office seems to be in love with RICO. And my honest opinion is that they're in love with it because it makes it easier for them to try and convict people that they otherwise could not convict. And that's what was happening here. We're fighting a mountain, reams of evidence, most of which didn't have anything to do with us. And so is it an abuse? I think it is. There are better ways to, and I used to be a prosecutor, right? And I can tell you that there are better ways to prosecute cases than the way this case was prosecuted.
You guys obviously rejected initially with this.
Ain't that Jeff Dad right there? Yeah.
Yeah, that's his dad.
There's some details you can give us because it sounds like from what you guys decided in court, I mean, it's still pretty stringent. There's a lot of different details, but what was the state asking for that you guys rejected?
I'm not going to get into plea negotiations because they are privileged under statute, but it was outrageous. They would let him out of custody, but they would have a tether around him so tight that is unconscionable.
And how are y'all feeling about what the sentencing is, especially with not being able to be in Metro Atlanta except for specific parameters, and how is Mr. Williams feeling about that decision?
He got other homes.
You know, we're okay with the sentence. There comes a time in any case, if a person is sentenced, that we're out of the courtroom, and now what happens to that person is entirely up to them. Jeffrey Williams is a fantastically talented man. He is a great person. He's become a great friend over the course of the last couple of years. And he has the ability, the incentive to go forth and do everything he needs to do to put this behind him. and we're confident that he will. One of the questions you asked a little earlier was, what was that feeling like stepping into a courtroom to do what's called a blind plea, not knowing what's going to happen? You know, it's a scary feeling for all involved. There's probably no feeling quite like that other than sitting in a courtroom waiting for a jury to come out and tell you what your fate is. But we walked in there knowing that we were in front of a fair tribunal and being comfortable that the right thing was going to happen, and the right thing did.
What do you think about your client just serving as a role model? Obviously, as part of the agreement, he's going to be participating in the community, doing events, things like that. Obviously, he has a huge reach for what he does for a living.
I've known Jeffrey Williams. I've defended him for over a decade. I have been with him where we go to young children, children in need, children who are going down the wrong way. And he tells exactly what he's going to continue to say. He tells everybody, this is not a good life. We have to stop the generational disaster that is plaguing the community. And although right now I'm successful, I'm a product, but every one of you can get out. And he always stresses education. Jeffrey Williams is a great person, a great role model, and he will do even better now, hopefully, if you allow him and his words to get out. As far as how Jeffrey's feeling now, he knows my feelings, which I'm not going to reveal for attorney-client privilege, but this is not the same as the not guilty verdict. That should have been rang. But nobody here wakes up every day on a concrete floor that they're calling his bed, gets up at 4:15, gets shackled at his feet, his waist, and his hands, comes to the Fulton County Courthouse to be on concrete, eating out of a bag. Doritos is his meal of choice. And then coming to a courtroom and sit there with a leg chain on him every single day and hear lie after lie. So for Jeffrey, go home today and not have another 90 days or 120 days of it, he is very happy, thankful to the honorable court. So to answer your question, this was not what I wanted. I don't believe that it is just, but I believe that under these circumstances, it is justice for Jeffrey Williams, and he is delighted, as are we. I'm thankful.
Can I ask you, you were standing right next to him as he was addressing the judge. What seemed like a very sincere apology to her, or apology to the court and what happened, what has gone on. How did you feel sitting next to him, knowing him for the last decade as a attorney for him, about what he was saying and what he was telling the judge?
Jeffrey Williams is being truthful. That is his heartfelt feelings. He feels so bad for the loss of life, and he feels bad that people are taking his music or his social postings and making it into violence. That is all promotion. That is not a symbol of go hurt somebody. So I hope I've answered your question directly, but how I felt, I've heard that from Jeffrey over and over again.
You called out a lot of challenges in this trial based on the prosecution's points. Do you have any message to, the co-counsel that for now is still on trial, or what's left of this?
Oh my God, they are phenomenal lawyers, and I'm confident if you keep going, which I assume you will see some great lawyering. They don't need my help.
And the truth is, they've been there with us for the past 2.5 years. They're aware of what they're up against. They are totally capable of handling it. And I presume we'll step in from time to time because, in this fight in the past 2.5 years, we've been together. So we needed something, they've been there to assist. And if they need something, we're happy to step right back in and assist. But they're great lawyers. Max Shard, Doug Weinstein, those gentlemen are in great hands. They'll be fine.
I will say this, I think it is wrong and it needs to be fixed that an innocent man is arrested on May 9th of 2022, is denied bond, and has to plead guilty and nolo to get freedom after 2.5 years in custody. That should not happen. Nobody should be on trial. Jurors, think about what they're going through. Nobody should be on trial like this. And if Mr. Williams didn't have the resources, this never happens well for anybody. So I think it's an abuse to answer the AJC's question. I think it's an abuse of the statute of RICO to do this to people.
Is it fair to say you don't believe justice was served today?
I believe that Mr. Williams is home, and I'm delighted. Justice would have been served on May 8th of 2022 if the grand jury no-billed his indictment. That would have been just. And it's wrong to be under investigation. He's been under investigation for 15 years. 15 years by task force of federal government and local government. Think about that. Think about your children doing that. And that's okay. If it's okay with you all, then we should really start moving to another country. I want to thank everybody so much for everything you do. I cannot thank you all, because without you guys, this just keeps rolling in injustice. It's got to end. The criminal justice system, the presumption of innocence, the Brady rules, the ethical rules, they have to survive. Otherwise, we all are victims of this. Anyone can sit in that seat next to Keith Adams. Thank you all so much.
And no one sees it unless you guys do what you do. But I tell you what, there is a whole world of people out there who have watched this trial over the course of the past 2.5 years. The past year that we've actually been in the courtroom trying the case, who are much more educated to how things work, and unfortunately, sometimes how things don't work. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Right.
Right.
Chef Steele.
Challenges in this trial based on.
Let's see if there's anything we
But it
can.
was outrageous.
They went and picked him up and have
More ethical.
All right, if y'all don't mind talking us through the decision to make a plea and just how today ended up going and transpiring.
Well, this was excruciating because hopefully, in our collective opinion, Jeffrey would have been found not guilty of everything. So this is very painful. But that's another 3 months or so in custody. And he wants to go home to his family. And negotiations totally broke down with the district attorney's office. Horribly broke down. And at that point, we believe that justice would be found with the honorable court. And Jeffrey just wanted to go home. How agonizing it is to know that we've spent a year trying a case where the prosecutors have put on lies, knowing lies, hiding evidence, is insane in 2024 in the United States of America. And the only reason that this got revealed is because of you people. You people brought the truth to the community, because nobody knows this. This is not the only courtroom it's happening in. And I just want to thank all of you. I especially want to thank Jeffrey for letting me represent him. I think he's a wonderful person who does wonderful things and will continue to do things even greater. I cannot express to you how Shaquille Kokomo, how Trisha Renard, how Haley, how my wife Colette, how Bram, how countless people, but especially Miss Courtney Edwards, has worked without sleep for 3 years representing Jeffrey and helping him. I will never be able to stand with anyone more ethical, honest, hardworking, insightful, intelligent, and kind than the Honorable Keith Adams. The gentleman to my left is the best lawyer in the country.
Mr. Steele, do you think prosecutors negotiated in good faith at all during any of these negotiations?
Why don't you let me take this one? Let me answer that. The short answer is no. This is a case that possibly could have been resolved if folks were reasonable. But we did not believe that we could enter into good faith negotiations with people who wanted a case resolved in a manner simply to save face. And Jeffrey Williams was not going to say things that they wrote for him, that they wanted him to say, that was their theory when it wasn't true. And so Good faith? No. I don't believe we were ever really negotiating in good faith. And you've been here the past year that this case has been on trial. You've seen the numerous motions for mistrial. You've seen the behavior of the state. You've seen the dishonesty. You've seen everything being hidden. You've seen things come out in court in front of you. And so you know what kind of prosecution we were dealing with, and that's okay. You know, Mr. Steele and I have fought through this the past 2.5 years. And as he said, we ultimately decided we were going to put our faith in the court as opposed to the folks on the other side of the aisle. And, you know, the best thing out of all of this is that Jeffrey Williams, in a very short period of time, will be home. And that's all we've wanted from May 9th, when they went and picked him up and have held him in jail without a bond for the past 2.5 years. He'll be home shortly.
Keith and Brian, this either one of you can answer. That 2 questions for you. First off, you go into a blind plea, you don't know, right? There's nothing for sure. What was your emotions like when you guys went into that? I would imagine the conversation, you kind of take us into the room before you went out into court, what the conversations were back and forth. Obviously, I know there's attorney-client privilege, but it's a big decision.
Well, I didn't want to give up the jury trial, but that was a decision made. And once that decision was made, we were just thankful that there are people like the Honorable Judge Whitaker who understands what a trial is like and what it should be like. And I cannot thank the Honorable Court for being here and coming in. She is not our first judge, but she's the first time we received justice.
Mr. Adams, this is your second high-profile RICO case here in Fulton County. Do you think that maybe the prosecutor's office is abusing that statute? And what are your opinions of RICO generally?
I have, for the 30-some-odd years that I practiced law, always believed that if you, as a prosecutor, think that someone has committed a crime, you charge them with the crime, you put it in front of a jury, and then you do it fairly and let the chips fall where they may. The courtroom is not the place to get adventurous, to get inventive, to think, well, we don't have evidence on him for any of these incidents, but maybe, if just maybe, we tie him up in a RICO and put him with people who may have committed crimes, we can get him that way. That's an abuse. And so, yes, for some strange reason, the Fulton County DA's office seems to be in love with RICO. And my honest opinion is that they're in love with it because it makes it easier for them to try and convict people that they otherwise could not convict. And that's what was happening here. We're fighting a mountain, reams of evidence, most of which didn't have anything to do with us. And so is it an abuse? I think it is. There are better ways to, and I used to be a prosecutor, right? And I can tell you that there are better ways to prosecute.
We took down the statue. So how can you?
Sorry.
He had.
Sometimes.
Look at me or whoever asks you a question.
It don't make no difference.
No, you just want to talk.
Yeah, y'all can ask me a question.
This is his dad.
I think everybody's set up. Yeah, so if you just, what were your thoughts when you heard that your son was going to take a plea?
Well, I was kind of started behind it because I was in agreement with Brian and Keith. You know, let's keep fighting. You know what I'm saying? You know, let's make them continue to embarrass themselves. You know, but at the same token, my son is I've never tried to interfere with his decisions. I just try to give him the knowledge of making the best decision that he sees fit for him. And I support it.
And so what was it like?
I feel great that he's going home. But at the same token, I still wanted to fight. But that's his decision. You know, on the other hand, I raised him to be the man that he is. You know, I've always been in his life from a pup to now. And I'm going to continue to be in his life. You know, and as an adult, he has to make his own decision.
And
you know?
do you live here in Metro Atlanta?
Yes, I do.
So how does it feel to hear that he's not allowed to be in Metro Atlanta?
I'm totally against that. because this is where he's from, you know, and to have a
He looked like his daddy, y'all. That's the
take
first
that
time I really
away from
looking at his dad. He looked, he
that
got
doesn't
his
that
face.
isn't a residence from here. She's from another state, you know, and to see her take a man away from where he's from to have to go live somewhere else, that's offensive to me. I'm really offended by that.
Can you talk
You know what I'm
about,
saying?
oh, sorry, I thought you were done. I was just saying, can you talk about your bond through music? And part of his conditions is that he can still make music, still do some performances. I know you said you were hoping to get back to that with him.
Yeah, we're going to get back to work. You know what I'm saying? You know, we're YSL loaded. I'm YSL loaded. You know, and in order for us to get back to our normal life, we're going to have to put in some more work. We're going to have to put in a lot of work, but the work that we need to do foremost for the city of Atlanta, Fulton County, we need to get rid of the poison that's in our system, and that's the district attorney office. So vote Courtney Kramer. Courtney Kramer, I support Courtney Kramer to the fullest. I feel like she's the best person for the job, and it's not because of what she said about us. It's because she said that, and she was in my company and never knew who I was.
Absolutely true.
What
What are your thoughts on his art being used against him?
Not just the art, freedom of speech. Let's talk about his rights. We freedom of speech, man. You know, how can you take a person's freedom of speech and say, now we're gonna tell you how you need to talk or how you supposed to talk? You know, who would feel comfortable with? Would any of us out here right now feel comfortable with someone telling us, you confirmed from saying this? You can't say that. You know, what do the Constitution play a role at? You know, these young men, all of these young men, and some of us too, all of our rights are being violated right now because we're being dictated to on how we supposed to live, how we supposed to look, what we supposed to say. You know, we have a constitution. When are we gonna start acknowledging our constitution? You know, we did away with supposedly, we did away with communism. I can't tell. You know, we took down a statue. We tore up a flag. What about the laws? Let's change the laws too. You know what I'm saying? If we're gonna do away with it, let's do away with all of it. Change the law. We're in a new day and time. Let's make the laws for the new day and time.
Do you think his lyrics will change now?
I hope not. I wouldn't. But you know, he's behind the 8 ball right now. So we're gonna have to justify something. We're gonna have to make some justification on how we got to narrate it now. You know, and that's sad. That's sad that a man should have to do that, and that's his way of life. That's how he feeds himself. That's how he feeds his family. That's his job.
And how
Are you going to be in the right street right now?
Huh?
Yes.
Definitely.
So we thank you guys. We do gotta head the right street.
One more quick question. Any words that you want to wish to anybody else remaining on the case? Anything you want to say to them?
Yeah, I definitely want to say something to the people that's left on this case, along with the people who are waiting to be charged. Keep your heads up. Keep fighting. Sooner or later, somebody gonna have to make a decision. We need to start making the people accountable that makes the decisions for us. So we need to put the right people in office. We need to start scanning the people that we vote for.
And now that we have voting right now, it needs to be a presidential topic. It needs to be a topic about prison and reform. Why, the presidents are not discussing this during their debates. It needs to be at the forefront of the presidential debates at this time. So,
but the people got to make that decision.
Yeah, we got to make that.
And I'm gonna leave y'all with this. In any fight you go through in life, and anything that you have to deal with in life, you can't be scared. And I'm out of here.
Oop, not Somebody wiped his nose.
Guys, have a good one. Continue to support Jeffrey and the entire family from this point moving forward.
In the words of
Get
John
to
Lewis.
get to your kids,
Fight.
get to your grandkids, support them, tell them you love them, hug them, just be there. Just be there.
And
know
if
what
you
I'm
see
saying?
something
Because that's
wrong
what we
and you
need.
see something that's not just, say
what we need.
something. Get in good trouble. In the words of John Lewis, say something.
Yeah.
Don't just sit there and let it happen if it's not your family. Don't wait till it's your family. If you see his family, anybody else's family, like the other guys that are still here, don't just stop coming because Thug is out. There's still other guys fighting for their lives. Still come, still support the others that are still here because we will. So we thank you guys.
So I will be informing you all later on the extortment that came to me from the DA office. I was extorted.
You were extorted?
I was extorted by the DA office. All right.
Thank you.
He said he was extorted by what he say? Hold on, let me bring that part back real quick.
From the DA office. I was extorted.
Don't just stop coming because their lives. Still come, still support the others that are still here because we will. So we thank you guys.
So I will be informing you all later on the extortment that came to me from the DA office. I was extorted.
You were extorted?
I was extorted by the DA office. All right.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Welp, we gonna wrap. Any last words, Sovereign Heart?
No, he said a mouthful. He said a mouthful. They all did, but I mean, it is the biggest thing is that this stuff is about freedom of speech. It's about they really taking us to a communist place, and people don't see the bigger picture, but it is really a bigger picture in what's going on and what's taking place. And it's a reason they put these RICO laws into place. And not only did Brian Steele say it, speak about it, the black guy spoke about it, and his dad spoke about it. There's some serious stuff going on with these RICO cases, and you know, so but I just hope that he really bring a change to the community, because they're targeting our communities. They really are. They're targeting our communities. So I'm happy that he's out. I can understand going from his lifestyle to being in that jailhouse every day. So I get it, but I hope he bring the best out of it. It would be the bomb if he still showed up to that trial for them boys. Can she manage that? You know what I mean? Like, can she keep him
They're
from?
not supposed to be in well, they aren't convicted yet of it, so I don't know.
It would be great if he showed up every day still to show support to those guys, because
well, he has to leave out of they're in Fulton County. He can't be in Metro Atlanta, remember? So he's transferring to California. So he's not gonna be able to do that.
Oh, okay. That's crazy too. His dad spoke about that. And Brian still spoke. That's crazy too.
Yeah. Urban Flavors, any last word? I gotta go get some food. I'm starting to get a headache.
You've been watching football.
I'm like, did I eat anything today? I don't even know.
You've been waiting on this verdict.
I was so anxious.
You were right.
Urban Flavors, any last words? We about to wrap the stream. And I mean, did y'all like the video? Did y'all support the Cash App? I mean, I don't see enough love for this 6-hour marathon that I did on this stream. I mean, good Lord.
You just been steadfast into this plea deal. You have been. But I'm about to now.
Young Thug free. Hold on, let me see if they say he released. I know he happy than a bitch. Let me go to Mariah the scientist to see if she, somebody gonna go live.
7:19 to 7:29. 7:19 to 7:29.
She don't got nothing on there. Who reported that he free? Who reported that he free? I don't know. We'll catch that on another one. All right, y'all. Peace out.